many days, but they will be full of trouble. There will be no rest. There will be no tranquility in this country until the nation comes to terms with our problems.
Bringing you social and political commentary from his mouth to your ears, breaking down the issues which matter to you.
You are not put here to be a white man's footstool. You are put here to represent the very best in God's word.
Legendary civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the studio. Reverend Jackson, how are you?
Mr. Reverend, good morning on this chilly Milwaukee morning.
And I am pleased to have one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party, Chairman Bobby Seale. Mr. Chairman, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
From Mr. Eric Holder. Mr. Holder, so good to see you. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, man. How you been? It's been a long time. Haven't seen you for a while.
The Dr. Cornell West. Dr. West, how are you, sir?
My dear brother, you're so kind, you're so generous, though, man, but I salute you and the work that you were doing there. Doing a magnificent job there in Wisconsin.
Stream live on 1017thetruth.com. Call in with your questions or comments. 833-212-1017. Join us on social media at 1017 The Truth. It may not be what you expect to hear, but I will definitely give you what you need to know. Are you ready for the truth?
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Sherwin Hughes.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Some of you had a late night last night, myself included. Not because I was out in the streets or partying, because I wanted to hear the much later than prime time address by President Joe Biden at the Democratic National Convention last night. I think Joe fired on all cylinders. I think he did a very good job of condensing his record and his love of country and his love of the job of the presidency, but his love of the American people more. I think he did a fantastic job. And so when I look at that version of Joe Biden, a couple of missteps in his articulation, but I think that we come to expect that whenever we hear him speak. I'm usually on pins and needles when Joe Biden speaks, and it's been that way for a very long time because he's been known as a gaffe machine for decades, quite honestly. But I'm always nervous that he'll have another moment that I think cost him a second term in the White House when he had that really bad debate performance. But I think that he hit it out of the park. What I can't understand, and so the Democrats are going to do it a lot differently. So those of you that paid attention to the RNC, and we here at 1017 The Truth did pay attention to the RNC because we were there for all 4 days, they were a little bit more regimented with their schedule and with their speakers and how long people had the microphone for. Seems like the Democrats just tell you to go up there and talk, and however much time you take is what you take. So there's going to be probably less rigidity in how the Democrats are going to proceed. I didn't quite see the logic in having Joe Biden give his speech that late. So you got to keep in mind the majority of the people that watched any DNC coverage, they're on the East Coast, so they're an hour ahead. Joe Biden probably started, 10:30 Central Time, so 11:30 Eastern Time. So most people probably did not see the speech, which is unfortunate because I think had folks seen that version of Joe Biden, and that was a version that we haven't seen in a very long time. In fact, we forgot all about that version because the version that cost him potentially his second term is the one that people remember. I think he was fantastic, and I think the way he handed off the torch was very classy and very sophisticated and very elegant in how he did that. Regardless of what you may think about Joe Biden and his record, and people only know a couple of things. You might know, maybe way back in the day, the 1994 crime bill, which is amazing because of all of the legislation that has been enacted, not just at the federal level, but even in the city and where you live, in the state in which you live, that have been very helpful and beneficial to black people. For some reason, we only remember the 1994 crime bill, but don't research enough to know why it came to fruition, because black people wanted it. Now, whenever black people want to get tough on crime and want to have 3 strikes laws and want to increase the penalties for certain types of activity, there's always going to be a willing audience of politicians that are happy to oblige us. Whenever we get tough on crime, the world falls at our feet and basically says, it's about time you blacks get tough on crime. there's also something that is lost in our conversations about race, and I'm going to do my darndest to try and tie all this in to American politics and the changing demographics of the Democratic Party, which most African-American voters and civic participants are a member of. And there's a reason for that. And I think those African-American black people that are members of the Democratic Party are much more committed than they probably were in years past. But I want to try and explain some nuance here, because we oversimplify everything. Because knowing all the facts, knowing all the history, knowing all the details of something, of an execution, of a policy or a political party, you got to know a lot of like nitty-gritty details. And most people, they don't have time for that. What we do, and we do it in our politics too, we just say, oh, people of color, you know, blacks and Latinos, like we're even remotely close to being the same. Not even close. I probably could find a group of Caucasian folk of a certain age group, a certain level of education, maybe they're all white-collar employees, that have more in common, okay? These are black people and white people. If I look at classism and levels of education and where they live and their income, okay? And I can find more in common with that black person and that white person than a black person and any Latino or Hispanic. But we get lumped together because we don't see the nuances that exist between the races. We just kind of lump all people of color together. And so there's a rift that exists in the black community. And we don't talk about it much. If we do talk about it, it's because we have complaints about this phenomenon. So I can look at carjackings, car thefts, car break-ins on the east side, right, going up. A lot of people, I'm assuming, are thinking it's black youth. Probably is, without me having all the data of who these individuals are that are being apprehended. Probably a guess. And then at the same time, I'll hear about a beloved downtown eatery that has, I don't even want to say has catered to African Americans, but black folks will find an obscure place, a restaurant, a bar, a lounge that wasn't even advertised to us. It wouldn't be a place that's in our neighborhood. It's just a place, and we just like throw a dart on a map and say, ooh, it's going to be Elsa's. And we fall in love with this place, and it becomes like a gathering place for African Americans, let me be clear when I say this, of a certain age group, etc. And then there's the behavior that will take place that we complain about. Was it earlier this year or was it last year when there was a shooting in Elsa's? Who shoots up a restaurant? Like, for what reason? There are plenty of places to do shooting. And I don't want anybody to have to shoot anything or anybody unless you're at the shooting range where you're practicing your target shooting. But I don't want anybody to ever get shot up for any reason. I wish you guys could talk it out. Or maybe play a friendly game of chess. I don't know. And then there was a fight fairly recently at Elsa's between two African-American women. I don't know what the circumstances are. But it caused Elsa's to change the menu and to remove items that were popular with the burgeoning African-American crowd. I shouldn't even say burgeoning. Black folks have been going to Elsa's for 30 years. Over those 30 years, a different kind of African-American has been going to Elsa's. And so those black folks that go out to have a good time, have some food, have some drinks, they don't want no trouble. In fact, that's why they go out, so they can get away from the trouble. They can just relax and unwind. That cohort of African Americans may have some issues, some problems, some disagreements with the cohort of African Americans that would rather be heard and seen. And I'm being diplomatic when I say this. So you can't lump us all together. I was recently told that at a restaurant called Botana's, overrated, don't know why y'all go, but that's another one. That's black people just pick Botana's. Don't know why. Do you know how many Mexican restaurants there are in this city? There might be more Mexican restaurants in Milwaukee than actual Mexicans. You can eat Mexican food in a restaurant, or if you don't want to be bothered with a restaurant, there's a truck. There's trucks all over the place. I live in the middle of the north side, and there's a food truck parked, a Mexican food truck parked a half a block away from my house at all times. They're all over the place. So many places you can get Mexican food. So apparently there was a fight at Botana's involving African Americans. Like, I'm so tired of that, because what we don't and maybe we do know this. I shouldn't say we don't know this. I think black folks know a lot. We know everything, actually. We get judged. Even the people that want to go out and have a nice time, they don't want to cause any problems. They're not complaining about every damn thing. You didn't put enough ice cubes in my water. How come I need another fork? Give me another fork. I said I want a ranch dressing. You brought me blue cheese. We just can be very difficult sometimes, but we all get judged the same. And so let's connect the two. As we're figuring out, well, what are we going to do about the uptick in youth crime and youth violence and the car thefts and the carjackings and all of those associated things? Their parents are the ones that are fighting in Elsa's and Botanas and getting restaurants closed down and having the menus being changed. So I do not want all of us to get lumped together. It's time for us to start looking at some nuance. But America does that. We just lump all people of color together like all of our circumstances are exactly the same no matter what. They're not. There's this growing demographic within the Democratic Party, and there's people that have 4-year college degrees. And when you really think about it and you listen to some of the rhetoric of the Democrats and the policies that they support, you can even look at vaccines. People that have, and this is me taking race, class, all of the things out of it completely. People that have higher levels of education live longer. They just do. Now, there's variations, of course, but like as a whole, the higher your education is, the longer you live. Also, potentially, the more money you make and the more likely it is that you can afford health insurance. More likely it is you have a doctor that you see regularly. The more likely you are to take your health seriously. The more likely you are, and here's a big one, to exercise. Because you have higher levels of education, higher levels of income, you have more leisure time, meaning the time that you have to spend working is dramatically less than someone who doesn't have those levels of education. So you have more leisure time to, take care of yourself. Go for a walk. Go for a jog. Go to the gym. You don't always have to post your gym pictures. In fact, no one has to post your gym pictures. We don't need to know. And I get very frustrated because when somebody posts a gym picture, that's usually when I'm laying down at home with a whole cherry pie on my chest, scrolling through Facebook, and I see all of you people at the gym. Nobody needs to see that. You can look at vaccines. Why do we have to argue with each other over vaccines? The people that have a better relationship with their health and health care and have more education, much more likely to have health insurance, which the Affordable Care Act expanded dramatically. We over here arguing science with people that didn't even do well in 6th grade science. And let me say they didn't do well in 6th grade science because when their children were home during the pandemic, a bunch of parents couldn't help their children with their 6th grade science homework. Yet for some reason, those people were experts on vaccines. Unfortunately, a lot of those people that thought that they were experts on vaccines are now dead. May they rest in peace. But I'm just saying there's a major rift that exists within our culture. Now, I know people are always going to lump us together and lump us together with the people of color, et cetera, et cetera. But once I share with these details with you about this growing group within the Democratic Party, it might make sense. The other thing I want to try and touch on today, we'll see how we dance around the subject, is that I appreciate all the support and the pomp and circumstance and just this incredible tangible momentum surrounding Kamala Harris and her campaign. It's great. What this convention is going to do for her, it's going to elevate her. It's going to elevate her platform. It's going to elevate her vice presidential selection, who is, I think, ultimately was a good choice because he can relate to a cohort of potential Democratic voters that may feel left behind, the rural whites that are out there in the country minding their own business. They're growing their corn. They're wearing their overalls. They're doing what the rural whites do. That's fine. Kind of feel ignored. Donald Trump spoke to them. They went over to Trump, but I think they still feel like their policy objectives are being ignored. And this is great because Tim Walz can go talk to those people because Kamala can say, hey, Tim, can you go talk to the country whites? And he'll be like, shucks, I'll go talk to the country whites. And that's good because the Democratic Party is one that is very inclusive of many people, country whites, city blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, the Asians, all of the different varieties, many flavors of Asians. Lots of them. And so it'll be easy to be caught up in this moment, and let alone if Kamala Harris wins. we can't lose sight of something, because we did this during Barack Obama's 2 terms, because there was so much just like this momentum and positive vibes behind Barack Obama. Like, wow, America's doing something we never thought it would do. We forget about the anger of Republicans. Remember, they are a party that's dangerous because they don't really need to make policy. They don't need to. They just fight the Democrats on everything because of who the Democratic Party is becoming. Speaking of which, we're going to talk to a member of said Democratic Party at 9:30. You know him as the Democratic U.S. Senator from the Peachtree State. Reverend Raphael Warnock is going to be joining us at about 9:30, so we're going to ask him some questions and get his thoughts and feelings on things after day 1 of the Democratic National Convention down there in Chicago. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue our chatting. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation!
And all our juicy jammers out there.
Make certain that you tap into Jam with Juice each and every day so you can quench your thirst.
That is right. You already know you can sip on us every single day, like Benjamin said, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. But that's not all, y'all.
Catch us exclusively on YouTube for our 6 to 7 show.
Yep, only on Thursdays.
Catch Jamming with Juice each and every day on 101.7 The Truth.
Now sip on that.
The Empowerment Small Business Loan Program, we're talking about up to $5 million, which for small business owners, we need that. That's like payroll, that's resources. So can you just let us know, what is the program and why is this lending program so important to Old National Bank?
Years ago, our CEO, Jim Ryan, this program is his brainchild. He was working with Roland Shelton, who you know, Denise, out of Evansville, and they identified that African-American business owners, Hispanic business owners, Native American business owners, as well as women business owners had a difficult time in obtaining financing from the traditional credit partners. And so we went out, created a program, launched it last year, 2023. And so far last year, we have helped over 100 successful minority and women-owned businesses with about $25 million in loans. We've already started this year with almost $8 million in approvals, again, geared toward minority business owners and women business owners that normally had difficulties in obtaining traditional credit finance.
Everywhere in America, families are struggling with an all-too common problem.
She missed school again.
Again?
Something is going on. She's secretive.
Should we check her backpack?
When you suspect a family member has a substance use disorder, it's hard to know what to do next.
We need to talk to her.
Starting the conversation is the first step to getting help. Visit SAMHSA at samhsa.gov/families for tips, or for treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Hey, Milwaukee, you've got too nice of a ride. Why put it through a gas station car wash when you could treat it to a nice Tsunami Express car wash? At Tsunami Express, expect nothing but the best with unlimited wash memberships and state-of-the-art car wash technology. Opening in Midtown on Fond du Lac Ave and Capitol Drive. Stop by and get a free car wash only at Tsunami Express in Midtown from August 21st through September 1st. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat. Learn more at TsunamiExpress.com.
101.7 The Truth, Sherwin Hughes for Axe Housing. Many times your mortgage will be a lot less than what you're paying for rent. If you work with Axe Housing, you'll average around $800 a month. No matter what barriers you think you are facing, Axe Housing will have a coach on staff that can assist you today. You can get started on a virtual home buying orientation by going to axhousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. And you can be well on your way to becoming a homeowner. Do not let where you are financially today get in the way of your bright future. Axe coaches are here to help. That's axhousing.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I'm going to be talking with Senator Raphael Warnock in about 10 minutes, give or take. Looking forward to that conversation. Want to get his take on things, but also to thank him for his very inspirational 13-minute speech he gave on opening night of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. It seems like every election is the most important election of our lifetime. And, oh, this election is consequential. Very true. And it seems like as time goes on, the stakes for our elections are getting higher. Have you noticed that? Really, since, I don't know, when did we start saying every election is the most important election of our lifetime? Probably 2004, maybe? 2008 was just different altogether. An important election in 2008. The economy was bad. There was a home foreclosure crisis. Banks weren't lending anymore. American automakers were on the verge of bankruptcy. In fact, I think they were bankrupt. No, they were bankrupt because they had to borrow money from the federal government. Just so you know, all that money got paid back plus interest, so the American taxpayers benefited from saving our auto industry. And then there was the whole Barack Obama effect. So there was just a lot of stuff going on. Oh, there was wars, too. Don't forget about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot happening at that time. So I'd imagine the election of 2008 was, at the time, the most important election of our lifetime. But as this country continues to change demographically to the chagrin of one party versus another, so the changing demographics of America absolutely helps the Democrats. Certainly does. And so when you have more, and I'm going to lump us all together, people of color, still minorities participating in the electoral process, then if more of them are voting, then their issues need to be reflected in the policies and the rhetoric of those they are voting for, most likely Democrats, again, to the chagrin of the Republicans. But let me just say this with all objectivity. Republicans are not a welcoming party. They're not. They don't feel inclusive. If you have a Republican event, a social event, they're having drinks and food. Maybe it's at Elsa's. If the Republicans had a social event like a mixer, a get to know your local Republicans event at Elsa's, a whole bunch of y'all would go. And if the Democrats had an event, say at Mr. B's Privileged Lounge, the whole vibe and the whole feel of those events would be different. Where do Republicans welcome people with open arms? There's this Christian nationalist thing that's going on. The evangelicals have found a very comfortable home in this current incarnation of Republican parties. And this is what confuses me about religion. Because those that I know, and there are many, that hold very tight their religious beliefs and their religious affiliations. And most of those people are Christian. Like a real diehard Christian of any race, of any level of education. Like they love them some Christ and God. They say grace when they eat. They're just they go to church fairly often, right? But you would think because of how loyal they are to their faith. I'm talking about like serious Christians, not the sometimesy Christians, not the Christians that go to church on Easter and Christmas, not those. I mean, the ones that go, more than that, like the kind of people who go to church on their birthday. They want to go celebrate their birthday with God. You look at the migrant problem. I don't know if it's a problem or not. Some people would call it a problem. The Republicans call it a problem. I come to find out that like half of the people, so all the people that come from other countries to America, it's not just people coming from the southern border. Half of them are Christians. Now, they may not be coming here legally, but overwhelmingly, the people that come to this country are Christians. For those that are faithful, of any race, of any political affiliation, like you prioritize your faith and your belief in God, your belief in Christ, your Christianity of whatever denomination, you prioritize that over your politics. And a lot of Christians do, like they're a God-fearing Christian before they're anything else. Why wouldn't you be happy? Why wouldn't you be more helpful? Why wouldn't you be more supportive of people of your similar religious faith coming to America? Because doesn't that make like America more of a Christian nation? And religion is fading for a number of reasons. These younger generations are not nearly as religious as their grandparents, that's for sure. And as time goes on, people are going to church less and they're doing less religious things. Maybe it's just about spirituality now, I'm not sure. But that's the part I don't get. If people will promote their faith and they want the 10 Commandments in schools, they want the Bible in schools, I don't know what good that's going to do if those who are Christian and believe deeply in their faith and go to church often and preach and teach what Christ says, why wouldn't they be more welcoming, especially the Republicans? I think the Democrats are more welcoming to migrants because Democrats are just more of a welcoming party. They want some of everybody. The Republicans seem to be very specific, but they do hold their Christian beliefs very high. They prioritize those, but they're giving zero respect to the fact that the people that are coming to this country, albeit illegally, are in fact overwhelmingly Christians. And they say they want a Christian nation, but they're getting a population of Christians that are coming, but they don't care about them. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back, and hopefully by the time I get back, we're going to have Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock on the line. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Are you passionate about helping your community? Join us. Milwaukee County Aging and Disability Services is hosting a hiring event on Wednesday, August 21st from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Zufari Conference Center. We're recruiting for supervisors, staff, and more. Come meet our team and learn how you can make a difference. On-the-spot applications and interviews available. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, August 21st, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Zufari Conference Center located at 9715 West Blue Mound Road. We can't wait to see you there.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the new 1017 The Truth. Here is Denise Thomas with her truth.
How many times have you said to yourself, I do not have enough time? I feel as though there's not enough time in the day. You're not alone. One of the things I've realized is part of why I never have enough time is because I was wasting it arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding me. Make the decision on whether or not you want to continue waking up and pouring into people with debates, with arguments, with explanations that, again, are committed to misunderstanding you, committed to not respecting your ideas or understanding why you are who you are. So for me, as I continue to thrive every day, as someone who takes pride in continuous improvement, I am no longer arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding me or wanting to reject my thoughts and my ideas. I find it interesting that usually those people who are committed because they recognize the greatness that exists in you, that exists in me. So again, part of saving your time and getting that time back is not arguing, debating, or explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. However, you should believe in yourself and your abilities because that is your superpower. The power to winning and staying focused on winning is not focusing on those setbacks or even those individuals that are attempting to prevent you. But the power to win lies within you, waiting to be unleashed through dedication and effort. Keep winning. You got this.
This has been Truth Takes on the new 1017 The Truth. Listen to The Truth Be Told with DT and Telly weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Seriously injured? Make one call. That's all.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
While we're waiting for Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock to call us, a couple of folks in the YouTube chat are talking about chicken wings. And apparently Elsa's closes at 3 o'clock. You're kidding. Like every day they close at 3, so they're not open in the evenings anymore, or they close at 3 and then they open again for the dinner time? Because that's a big blow if that's the case. Lately on my social media timeline, and it's mostly Facebook. I'm getting tired of Facebook. I am. I really am. And the young people, they're not even really on Facebook anymore. That's for a bunch of old people. And I can tell. But there seems to be this question that keeps coming up that everybody is asking. And why don't you know the answer to this question? I don't know why they don't know the answer. But whenever someone doesn't have an answer to a social question or a leisure time question, or they're inquiring about something of the sort, they always go to Facebook. Like, Facebook is where you go for answers of where's the best chicken wings. Every now and again, I eat meat. I don't purchase meat when I go to the grocery store, but if I go out to a restaurant, sure, I'll engage in animal protein, but I don't buy it. And if I'm going out to eat and eating meat, it better be really good. It better be worth it, right? Oh, I can tell you where the best wings are. Absolutely, I could. I can name, 5, 6, 7 different places in different neighborhoods, different themes to the restaurants, different moods, different vibes, different settings. They play different kinds of music, all of that. But I'm not going to tell you because you may ruin it. What is it with our fascination with chicken wings? There's so many other parts of the chicken that offer more meat, that are much more filling. What is it about the wing that has become, I'm not even going to say a cultural phenomenon with black people? Everybody loves a wing. I don't know what it is. Is it because it's bite-sized? Is it because it's fun? Like, I don't, think about it for a second. People are fascinated. I don't know if there's any other food that incites more like either competition or arguments. Who's got the best chicken wings? Many of you will say Points East has the best chicken wings. Had them once, wasn't impressed. 20 years ago, haven't been back because they haven't changed. And they only have one flavor of wing at Points East. Wing, that's the only flavor. You can get any flavor you want as long as it's the only flavor they offer, which is wing flavor. I have no idea what it is. Is it because chicken wings are social? Is that what it is? Well, not really, because it's not like if you're eating chicken wings, which, if you do it properly, does require 2 hands. And if they're a sauced wing, you can't shake anybody's hand. So it's not like it's social. If you're eating chicken wings, all you can do is elbow bump somebody or maybe fist bump them. I wouldn't even fist bump some of y'all if you were eating chicken wings because you'll probably have sauce on your knuckles. Everybody wants to know where the best wings are. So here, I'm going to tell you what. We'll do this for the YouTube chatters because they seem to have that question. Where do you guys think the best chicken wings are? Since you're not going to be getting them at Elsa's anymore. They're all about the same to me. It's the atmosphere. In fact, I just went to a place on Sunday. Oh, I wish I could tell you, but ain't no way. And I love a bunch of y'all. And most of y'all that I love, it would be great if you came in to this particular place and had chicken wings. But then there's the others, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. Oh, have I got a story for you? But I don't want there to be a differentiation between, because we think of these people as like separate groups, and they're very connected. The grown folks that go out to a decent restaurant, probably downtown, and act a complete fool, and they argue, they get drunk, they drink lemon drops. Apparently they drink lemon drops made with tequila. First of all, and I've said it before, I got to say it again, even good tequila is disgusting. You know how good tequila has to be to not be utterly gross? It's made from a cactus. It's disgusting. I'm sorry. I know some of y'all gonna get mad because that's all you want out of life is cactus liquor and chicken wings. That's a simple existence, and maybe I'm jealous. I wish the highlights of my life could come down to drinking cactus liquor and eating a wing of a chicken. Do you know how many chickens is running around planet Earth with no arms because of y'all eating chicken wings all the time? However, I digress. There's a connection between these unruly kids that are stealing cars, they're criminals. Abject criminals. Let's just call it what it is. And so I hear this other thing. It's usually from the white liberals because they don't want to say how they really feel about black kids. We need to redirect their energy. Oh, that's kind of neat that they can steal a Kia in 40 seconds. That means that they're good with their hands. Maybe we should redirect the energy. How? How, Sway? How you going to redirect the energy? Because it's the energy that they are getting a lot of times from their parents. And we got to call it out. Like, we got to stop as black people being so sensitive when people dislike behavior that is too often associated with us. And I got to clean this conversation up because I believe the great Senator Reverend is on the line right now. So listen here. Hopefully he didn't hear that little rant I just went on about chicken wings, because for all I know, the Reverend Senator likes chicken wings too. I should ask him, but I'm not going to ask him because we have other things that we need to discuss. Savanna, is that the Reverend Senator on the line? I don't know if she's sure who's on the line yet. I don't know. Felix says, we are all hungry. Felix says, I love wings. Jamel Harris says, tell him why the sign is on the window that children are not allowed in Points East. You know what, Jamel, that's a good question, but I respect any business owner that may not want to have children in their establishment. Plus, if you serve liquor, that's not really a place for children. We'll table that conversation right now. We have the great Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Senator, how are you?
Hello, it's great to be here with you.
Well, we're glad that you're here with us. And first, let me start by thanking you for your very rousing and inspirational and emotional speech that you gave on night one of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
Thank you so very much, sir. I am deeply honored to represent the people of Georgia in the United States Senate. For the people of your state to say, when we take stock of our children and their future and what we desire for them, as we consider our aging parents as they deal with the blessings and the burdens of aging, as we think about the planet and the way forward, we want you to go to Washington and represent us and center the people. And that's what I try to do every day, and that's what I tried to do in that speech last night, center ordinary people.
Senator Warnock, Joe Biden gave a much later than prime time address at the DNC last night. Your thoughts on what he articulated, what he communicated about his life and time in politics, and also the way in which he so gracefully handed the torch off to Kamala Harris?
It was a signal moment of the convention last night. Joe Biden is a class act. Here is a lifelong public servant who started in service. Ironically, folks are talking about his age in recent months. He was so young when he started out as a senator. Andy Young explained not long ago that they actually had to wait a few days for him to turn 30 so they could legally swear him in. And he's literally spent his whole life centering the concerns of ordinary people. He's been a champion for the working class. I have to say, as the pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church, Joe Biden understands better than most politicians the journey that this country's had to take on the question of race, the work that we still have to do. I believe that's why he has appointed such a diverse array of judges to the circuit courts in our country. He's literally appointed more black women to the circuit court than all of his predecessors combined. Appointed the first black woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, of course, to the Supreme Court. And he's doing other incredible things like student debt relief, which literally narrows the racial wealth gap. I can go on and on about his legacy, but what a stark contrast to Donald Trump. Here's a man who literally, he already won the nomination, but he listened to the people. He saw what was going on in his party, and as he said last night, I love this job, but I love my country more. And so graciously, the man who served as vice president to the first black president then opened the door and created a path now to be the predecessor to the first black woman, the first Asian woman, the first woman president. What a class act.
We are speaking with U.S. Senator from the great state of Georgia, Reverend Raphael Warnock. Reverend, the Republicans held their convention in the city in which we are broadcasting from now, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That was last month. And you could feel their excitement. You could feel their momentum because they were just so, I guess, drunk on their own hubris that they just knew that their anointed one, Donald Trump, was going to beat Joe Biden. Well, flash forward just a couple of days and Joe Biden has stepped down to make way for his vice president to receive the nomination, and all of that momentum has shifted. It's even reflected in the polls. Should we be concerned? Because the Republicans are not going to say, oh, well, Kamala's a much better candidate. She's got better issues on her side. She's got a diverse coalition of support. We're just going to go along with the Democrats and work with them when Kamala gets elected. We know that the Republicans are not like that. Should we be concerned with the revenge tour they may go on if they see the writing is on the wall and they've lost their momentum and Kamala Harris is in fact elected the 47th president of the United States?
Listen, not only that, our concerns should even precede that moment. I can tell you that right now in the state of Georgia and sadly in other states across our country, the anti-democratic forces that are afoot in our nation are really aligning themselves and organizing themselves and already creating a pretext for which to refuse to certify an election. So not only do we need to win, we need to try to win in large enough margins to make it difficult for some of these bogus court claims that I'm, sadly predicting that are likely to happen. More than likely. And so what we can't do is allow that reality to so demoralize our electorate that people don't bother to show up. We can win this election. You take it from somebody who has faced voter suppression, looked it in the eye. When I ran this last time, they looked at the anatomy of my victory the first time, and they came after me with everything. They literally said, as we were going into the runoff, because they saw how successful we had been the last time, they literally said that the people of Georgia, because of some obscure law, were not allowed to vote the first weekend of the runoff. It was because they didn't want students showing up. They didn't want broad parts of our coalition to show up. And so I literally had to take them to court. I had to sue them just so that the people of Georgia could vote the first weekend of the runoff. Thankfully, we won that lawsuit. They then appealed it. I had to win it again. They then appealed it again. I had to win again. And finally, the people of Georgia got a chance to vote. I won the election by a margin that roughly mirrors the number of people who voted that weekend. And so we've got to use all the tools. We've got to turn out whatever the avenues to vote are in our respective states, early voting, mail-in voting. We've got to use all of that, turn out all the parts of our coalition. We will certainly be dispatching through the DNC and other vehicles the lawyers that are necessary on the ground to defend people's vote, to ensure that every vote gets counted. And I think the country is watching the dumpster fire that is Donald Trump right now as he's becoming increasingly unhinged. We're going to win. We're going to beat him decisively, but we got to keep running. We cannot let our foot off the gas. We got to run all the way through the tape.
Senator, before I let you go, I would like to know the sentiment of voters in Georgia. We all heard that recording that Donald Trump was on with, I believe, Brian Kemp asking for 11,780 votes. Can Georgia hold, because the road to the White House not only runs through Wisconsin, also runs through Georgia. So do you think that the sentiment in Georgia will be favorable toward Kamala Harris and Tim Walz?
Certainly the road to the White House runs through Georgia, runs through Wisconsin. I must say that I'm very proud to work alongside your Senator Tammy Baldwin. I've been in your state campaigning with her and on her behalf. She has worked closely with me as the two of us have championed the issue of Medicaid expansion in our respective states, which are holding out, literally holding the people of our state hostage while state-level politicians play games and people's health care is compromised. but we will continue to make the case. We'll continue to do the work. There's a lot of energy on the ground in Georgia, and I have to say that some of the machinations and nonsense of Donald Trump is helping. I mean, here's a man who was a Republican nominee. He came to our state at a Republican rally for his election, and he spent a great deal of energy attacking the sitting Republican governor of Georgia. So from my vantage point, they should keep that up on that side. And meanwhile, we'll remain focused on the people, and I believe the people will deliver us the victory in Georgia and in our country.
U.S. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, thank you so much, Senator. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And if you ever find yourself in Milwaukee, by all means, you're more than welcome to join us on the air here at 101.7 The Truth.
Thank you so very much. Keep the faith.
All right. Thank you, Senator. I'm going to take a little pause for the cause and come back. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back shortly.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Breakfast with Brewers 360.
It's about us executing and trying to out-execute them.
Weekdays on Wisconsin's Morning News with Gene Miller. News Radio WTMJ.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place? You know, that spot that only you know about? And instead of what you came for, you found something a little different. What if instead of your private stash, you found a simple phone number, 1-800-662-HELP? What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Would you make the call? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, before drugs turn your life upside down, before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use or prescription drug misuse, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/thereishelp.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Garage doors giving you headaches? Best way I know how to deal with it is to call my friends at Geis. Family owned since 1955, Geis is the trusted authority on garage doors and openers in southeastern Wisconsin. Trust me, I use them too. With brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have doors for every budget and will even build custom designs to match your exact needs. For fast, reliable garage repair solutions, go to GeisDoors.com or call 262-784-4250. GeisDoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Connie's Compassionate Care is a Wisconsin Medicaid Badger Care Plus benefit program designed to help pregnant women retain the support and services needed to have a healthy baby. From medical appointments, transportation, and health education support. So, if you or anyone you know can benefit from our agency, call 414-550-7521 to speak with Lasagna. Connie's Compassionate Care has got you covered.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I don't want these very consequential elections now and moving forward to be missed opportunities to learn more about how legislation and policy actually works. Because if you get a broader understanding of policy, because we're so focused on the presidential elections, right? And which personality is going to win and which party is going to win, and then which party is going to have control in Congress, which party is going to be able to appoint members to not just the Supreme Court, but also the federal circuit courts as well. Like, we can't lose this opportunity to just learn more about the process, because then people will get much more involved at their local level and at their state level as well, because I don't want voters to only be focused on the president, because y'all think the president can do everything. So everything that is wrong with society, the president is supposed to fix. Well, what a president can do is listen to voters, do like a demographic deep dive into which voters in which cities voted how, and say, oh, African Americans in Milwaukee voted overwhelmingly for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and they need additional resources for job training and placement. They need additional money to remove lead laterals. They need more money invested in public education, whatever it is. And so what the president can do is create legislation or executive orders that address the needs of the voters in that city, but that money still comes through the state. So the governor that you vote for helps the president make good on their promises. We also have to keep in our minds that Republicans are going to screw all of this up, even if it makes sense to people. Even if the policy makes sense, if the investment in infrastructure and clean jobs or whatever it is, if it makes sense, it doesn't matter to the Republicans. They are not in the business of helping Democrats be successful. So if the Democrats win the election in November, the Republicans are not going to say, all right, they're the party that America selected. Let's work with them and have their wish list come true. They're going to do the complete and exact opposite of that. Here's something else that's not even a bold prediction. If the Republicans remain in the majority in the House of Representatives, they're going to impeach Kamala Harris every day of the week, every single day of the week, for frivolous things, for nonsensical things. Why? Because it's going to keep her on the defensive. It's going to diminish her credibility in wanting to actually work with other Republicans on putting policy together. They're going to be a distraction, because remember, they're a dangerous party because they don't put together policies. They don't. They're not in the business of putting together policies, especially if they can win House seats and get the majority, but lose the popular vote every single 4 years in presidential elections, meaning they don't have to make policy. They can just screw up the Democrats. And also, in an hour or two, I'm going to share with you guys some specifics about who the Democratic Party is, so we stop judging and being stereotypical about who your average, normal, regular Democrat is, so we can have a better understanding of that as well. But the Republicans are not here to win any friends. They are there to protect the interests of a smaller share of Americans that feel like they are being outnumbered by you blacks and you browns. The blacks and the browns really do need policy. And here's a fundamental difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, without getting into too much detail. The Democrats believe that carefully constructed policy can help solve some of America's problems. The Republicans hate government. That's why they want to shrink it. Government is too big. Government tax you too much. The taxes are too high, especially for rich people. We got to get rid of the Department of Education. The government is telling people what to do. However, the Republicans also want to use the government in certain ways as well. While the Democrats want to use government to make improvements and to help people and to invest in people and invest in the future, the Republicans want the government to say, hey, to a woman, yeah, you can't exactly make those choices on your own, lady. No, you're not capable of doing that. The Republicans are saying, what do you mean there's books about black history and the struggles of African Americans and why there's so many disparities? Because for so many centuries in this country, African Americans weren't treated fairly. What do you mean there's books in a high school library that describe those things that African Americans dealt with? Take those books out. So they want the government to be restrictive and censoring of history. Very different philosophies. Let's talk to Cypher. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Trying to maintain. How are you, Sherwin?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind, Cypher?
Well, I'm noticing there's like an issue with confidence in the evolution of mental illness right now. The boxer Ryan Garcia, he's really going through it, and I can't imagine what it's like to not be up to par and have to swallow pride and put people down and feel better about myself. Because it is a scary time to be alive when people can question if your life matters or anything and be put in a certain category. So that's why I think it would have been an excellent decision to invite the founders of the Black Lives Matter organizations to these events, the DNC or the RNC, but I don't think anybody thought about that. Now with current events going on and, fears and considerations, I think we need to reiterate the importance of cohesion and everybody really having a considerate mind frame today, because mental illness is evolving and it is a scary time to be alive. So I do feel for a lot of people.
Thank you, Cypher. for your call.
You're welcome.
Your highlighting of mental illness. No, absolutely. I agree. It's almost like a shared delusion that we have across different portions of this country. Black Lives Matter, I haven't heard that one in a while. It's also a decentralized organization. I think that they existed in a particular form when they were needed to call attention to certain issues. But after a while, I tired of it because I don't want to have to continuously explain to folks why Black Lives Matter. And I don't think we need an organization to illustrate that fact. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Coming with straight truth.
Contrary to popular belief and contrary to suburban idiocy, crime is nowhere near what they say on TV.
You calling me an idiot?
I didn't call you an idiot. I said some of the people that live in suburbs that are white that think about crime in the city as if it happens every day, people are getting slaughtered and killed, is grossly inaccurate. But you don't know because you're not here. You don't live here.
Listen to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app.
The biggest names in the basketball world.
Dame, Dollar, Lillard.
Having fun and honest conversations.
He puts it in the shoe, right? And sets the tone for brothers and sisters and family.
Every week, Thanasis Adetokounmpo sits down with special guests on Thanalysis Show. Presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel and curbless, ready-to-drink cocktails.
Fantastic.
Find Thanalysis Show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube by searching Thanalysis Show.
Truth Nation, let us take a second to brag for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like President Joe Biden.
Black child poverty was cut in half in 2021. We built black wealth, 15 million jobs nationwide, more than 2.5 million for black Americans. Black wealth is up 60% since the pandemic.
Former President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump.
Guys, we almost had a former president and very likely future president assassinated on live TV. Like, you know what that would have done for this country? You know what that would have made our country look like? We would look like a banana republic.
And Brewers All-Star and former National League MVP Christian Yelich.
Listen, you already know.
Yeah, we got we were just in LA, so we heard our fair share of Kendrick out there in LA. Dodger Stadium has one of the best sound systems in baseball too.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 101.7 The Truth by downloading the Truth app, listening live on 101.7thetruth.com, and streaming us live at 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
Research shows that high-quality teachers have the greatest impact on student success during the school day. By shaping their students, they are shaping the future. Yet while actors have Oscars, musicians have Grammys, and athletes have gold medals, exemplary educators who prepare every profession are just not recognized enough. The Milken Educator Awards set out to change that by surprising outstanding educators across the nation with $25,000 prizes and providing a platform to celebrate, elevate, and activate the profession.
Erica Stevens!
The awards were created by Lowell Milken of the national nonprofit Milken Family Foundation. The journey to surprising the 3,000th Milken Educator is in full swing. Who will be next?
Honey, they chose me.
Celebrate teachers, value teachers, thank teachers.
You're listening to the new 101.7 The Truth, founded in partnership with American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. 101.7 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Boozilla, baby.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I want to give you guys some important details about who this Democratic Party coalition is, who these folks are that are going to be heading to the polls whenever early vote starts here in Wisconsin, probably somewhere around October the 15th. And then, of course, the general election day is on November 5th. You've got a U.S. Senate race here in Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin, our incumbent senator here, versus the construction worker from the Village People. You know him better as Eric Hovde, the man who did not know what Juneteenth Day was 12 years ago. He's running against Tammy Baldwin, and of course Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who I don't believe has an opponent. She will be running to represent the 4th Congressional District here in southeastern Wisconsin. But before I get to the details, because I want you guys to know how the Democratic Party is moving and how it's changing, and this may also give you a perspective on why the Republicans hate the party so much. They hate it, and it's why they're going to such extremes with policies that aren't popular. Like, why do you keep doing something that's not working? But they have a different calculus in mind, the Republicans do. And because of the Electoral College, they are able to get majorities in the U.S. Senate, but lose the popular vote and lose the presidency. So as long as the Senate is very powerful, very, very powerful. In fact, I could make an argument for your party may be better off in some cases if you have a legislative majority. So if the Republicans have the House and the Senate and the Democrats have the presidency, they'll neuter the president. They won't approve any of the president's selections to the courts. They'll veto, or they'll vote down rather, all of the president's ideas and proposals. So it's tough. And so this is why the Republicans are okay doubling down on policies that don't matter, because it might be a nationally unpopular policy, but as long as it's popular in, I don't know, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Montana, Utah, what's another red one? Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, West Virginia, probably Pennsylvania. Florida is weird, but for the time being, Florida is not going to be a blue state. Alabama. Did I say Mississippi already? I'll say it again, Mississippi. Mississippi should count twice. Mississippi is going to be a red state for a very long time. The impact of voter suppression in the state of Mississippi 60 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, has an impact now. It's amazing how they can set a course and a path, and then subsequent generations of people will follow a course and a path that was set in the Jim Crow era, and it still gets played out now. It's just amazing how things work in this country. So before I get to the details of who these Democrats are, it's a very racially diverse coalition of people. I got to address the clear elephant in the room. First of all, Curly, let me say something about catfish. I had catfish at Juneteenth. It was delicious. It was very good. It was crispy. It was crunchy. It was seasoned to perfection. But it was also fried. Catfish is not very good. It's only good if it's fried. Nobody eats like catfish casserole. Nobody bakes catfish. I mean, some people do, but it's gross. Right? You can't make other things with catfish. You don't add catfish to enhance the flavor of other dishes. It's only good because it's fried. And I don't know if you guys know about frying things, but you can fry a gym shoe and it'll be delicious. It's not about the flavor of the fish. It's about how it's fried. Even when somebody describes really good catfish, they're describing how fried it was. And did they use this kind of seasoning or that kind of seasoning? Did they use the cornmeal? What did they use? It's because it's fried. It's not good. No, none of you. If they stop making fried catfish, if all the places that make catfish said we're not frying our catfish anymore, we're going to broil it, you'd get a hamburger. You wouldn't eat it anymore. And the other one is tequila. Tequila appeared in some rap songs like 15 or 20 years ago. I think it was T-Pain just started talking about Patron. Next thing I know, all the black people are ordering Patron. Patron is not very good tequila. Casamigos is even worse. It becomes cultural. And now people are putting tequila in things that they're not supposed to be in because it becomes a part of the culture. And it just doesn't taste very good. And I've had some people have tried to convince me, oh no, Sherwin, because I don't know what it is about us. Like, black people are real territorial over our tequila, because if we find an alcoholic beverage that we like, the world must bow to our feet and also love the same beverage. Tequila ain't good. Here's the thing with alcohol. All of it's gross. All of it is nasty. All of it. And if somebody describes a drink that's good, Unless you're like a whiskey, bourbon, scotch drinker, those human beings are different altogether. Because even good whiskey, bourbon, and scotch, like super top shelf, like real expensive stuff, it's still gross. It's a sophisticated gross, though. It's just not tasty. Like, ooh, it sure is a hot day. It's sweltering out here. 96 degrees, heat index of 110, 85% humidity. Boy, I sure would like a glass of scotch. Ugh, it's horrible. If somebody describes a good alcoholic drink, it's because you can't taste the alcohol, because alcohol is disgusting. Contrary to popular belief, and this is now being widely circulated amongst medical journals, you know how they used to say, like, oh, you can have a glass of red wine a day or 2 glasses of red wine. They would even give recommendations of how much alcohol a pregnant woman can drink. Oh, if she drinks a glass of red wine. Oh, you know, in Europe, pregnant women drink red wine. Let's not be like Europe for a number of reasons. But, oh, in France, you know, pregnant women can drink up to 2 glasses of wine. They drink it. There is no amount of alcohol, no amount that is beneficial to your health. They have been lying to us. That was propaganda that was created by the alcohol industry, because, you know, they had to do something. Let me tell you why the alcohol industry had to do something. They have been very evil throughout the years. Alcohol is a very unusual kind of phenomenon. It's not healthy. You know who the biggest lobbyist probably still is, but certainly was, against the legalization of cannabis? For a while, it was police associations. It was police unions, sheriffs unions all over the country, because they knew that if marijuana became legal, that would take away a lot of probable cause for their searches, because marijuana you can smell. And if you smell marijuana, even I don't even know if they call marijuana smell probable cause to search. It used to be. The Supreme Court very well may have changed that ruling. But if marijuana became legal, then police officers would lose pretty significant probable cause. But also, if your city can illustrate you have a drug problem, and it could be marijuana when marijuana is prohibited, and you can write, these law enforcement agencies and cities could write to the federal government, to the DEA, and say, yeah, we've got a major problem with drugs in our city. We had, I'm going to use a round number, 10,000 marijuana arrests in 1994. And then the Department of Justice and the DEA would say, ooh, wow, you really do have a drug problem in your city. Here's $30 million of federal money so you can fight your drug problem. And then the police departments and police associations would then use that money for squad cars to train additional officers, et cetera. So other than law enforcement agencies, which are very political, this is all you need to know. The Milwaukee Police Association, I hope I'm getting it right, because there's a few different police officers unions. They just endorsed Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. What more do you need to know? In fact, J.D. Vance was here. Maybe was it Friday over the weekend? He was here accepting the not the nomination, but the endorsement of the Milwaukee Police Union. That's all you need to know. And black Trumpers, well, there you go. There you go. The unreformed police are giving their full-throated endorsement to the man that wants to give police immunity. And again, it's a rhetorical question. I don't expect any of you to answer it. I don't know how black people, black men in particular, see any room or space for them to breathe, literally in the ranks of the Republican Party. However, I digress. The alcohol industry has been the biggest lobbyist against the legalization of marijuana. In fact, for many years, so throughout the 90s, it was a company called Seagram 7. You guys know Seagram 7. They make gin and they make other spirits, and the reason why many of you have gone to jail on misdemeanor battery charges. They know, the alcohol industry knows and has always known, if people smoke legal marijuana, they're going to drink less. That, plain and simple. They're going to consume less alcohol. Alcohol sales will go down. That's right. So they have lobbied at every level of government as hard as they could, and they were extremely successful. Marijuana, when you think about it, should have been legal since the 1940s. But the alcohol industry is like, oh, no. We want you to get drunk instead of smoking a joint. Now they do all sorts of stuff. Now you can vape the weed. What else can you do with the weed? You probably can rub it on your face. They probably got weed creams. They got weed sodas. They got weed, all sorts of things. And you just drink your weed soda and you watch Bad Boys 2 at home instead of drinking alcohol where you're probably going to fight somebody. I'm sorry. Oh, so now we got a damn tequila debate going on. Felix says, I heard Spitfires has good wings. Spitfires and Camino. So Camino, if the one I'm thinking of, it's on South 1st Street, South 2nd Street. Didn't have wings at Camino, but I've been there before. Or did I not go there before? I think there might have been a wait and we couldn't get in. But I tried to go to Camino before, if this is the one that I'm thinking of. So Spitfires, y'all need to know, the one that's on 47th and State, well, that's the only Spitfires there is. That's a cop bar. You don't want to go there unless you're a cop. When somebody pointed that out to me, the Spitfires is where a lot of off-duty cops go to eat, I stopped going. And their wings are just fried. It's just a fried chicken wing. It's not anything particular about it. It's fried. I don't even know if you can get flavors. It's just fried. But it's a cop bar. And so, because I've been going to Spitfires for a long time, because it's a good friend of mine lives around the corner, so we would just meet at Spitfires and just kick it, whatever, and grab a cocktail. And then when someone told me, like, oh, yeah, Sherwin, that's where a lot of off-duty cops hang out. And I noticed when I would go to Spitfires prior to me finding that information out, it'd just be a bunch of just semi-angry, marginally unpleasant white men. It'll be like a table that seats 4, but it'll be like 9 of them around the table. It looks weird, and when you walk in, they just kind of look at you. And now when I put 2 and 2 together, oh, those are police officers that are off-duty. Off-duty cops, when they hang out socially, don't want to see the people that they stereotypically arrest when they're hanging out socially. That's number 1. Number 2, and I'm trying not to be condescending when I say this, but this is absolute fact. You can fact check and you can look it up. You can Google it. You can go to the damn library and check it out for yourself. Cops, huge alcoholics. I mean, the job sucks. It does. But if a job is that stressful where it drives you to drink to the levels in which they drink, maybe they should consider something else. But a lot of cops, it's like 30% of police officers have an alcohol problem. And when they get drunk, they're still cops. They're just not on the clock. And so if an off-duty police officer engages in illegal activity, because here's the thing about cops. They all know that that they're drunks, all right? So let's say you got an unruly cop at Spitfires. Let me not pick on Spitfires, but it could be anywhere. And, they got a stressful job, and they just arrested 17 black people, and they shot at somebody. It was a stressful job. They take off the uniform. Where are the cops chained? In the locker room? They have a cop locker room where they put on the uniform? Well, anyways, they get done with their shift. They take off their cop suit, and they put on regular clothes, probably a flannel and some jeans or whatever cops wear. I'm not sure. Probably a rock and roll band T-shirt. And they go out and they have some drinks. And they get hammered. And they cause a disturbance. And somebody who doesn't know that this is an off-duty cop calls the police. Maybe it's the bar owner. But typically, off-duty cops let it be known that they're off-duty cops because a lot of bar owners feel like, oh, I feel safe now because there's a bunch of off-duty police officers that have chosen my establishment to drink and to dine. Put an asterisk next to that if you think you're safer because you got a bunch of off-duty cops getting drunk in your bar. And let's say one of these off-duty cops imbibes a little too much and they get a little too tipsy, you see. And somebody calls the police on them because I've seen cops like go outside and shoot their guns. And then somebody calls the cops and guess who shows up? Their buddies, their coworkers. The only time that I've seen police officers getting held accountable, like every single time, is when a Milwaukee police officer, off duty, drinks too much, drives a vehicle, and gets pulled over by a sheriff's deputy. Sheriff's deputies will give Milwaukee cops, they'll arrest them for OWI every single time. Because for some reason, MPD cannot use their, oh, I'm a police officer too, you should let me go. It doesn't work with sheriffs. Sheriffs will bust any municipal cop, Greendale, Greenfield, Brown Deer, West Allis. If any municipal police officer is driving drunk and they get pulled over by a sheriff, oh yeah, they're getting a ticket. But something else to be mindful of, and I didn't know about this until some years ago, a lot of police officers have been charged with or are accused of domestic violence. Really, really common. Never gets talked about. Needs to get talked about. Needs to get discussed. Needs to come out in the open so we can have, positive conversations about it so we can remedy the issue, but this stays under the radar. So when a police officer, probably an alcoholic, drinks too much and get physical with their wife or their girlfriend, their live-in partner, and the wife, the girlfriend, the live-in partner calls the police. Well, who shows up? His buddies. They know, this is dangerous now, they know that if their buddy, who probably did drink too much, got a stressful job, he didn't go out to drink, he drank at home, got a little handsy with his wife or his girlfriend or his live-in partner, those cops that come and answer that call of domestic violence know that if this police officer gets a domestic violence charge, he can't be a cop anymore. He loses his job because you cannot have a DV on your record and own a firearm. If you cannot legally own a firearm, you cannot be a police officer. So the amount of leniency that is given to police officers when it comes to incidents of domestic violence would disgust you if you knew the full truth about it. I cannot think of this guy's name. He was black, she was black, both of them were cops. He drank too much on many occasions. She had to call the police on him on many occasions. I cannot think of his name. There's like 3 or 4 calls to this particular residence where he would get into, they would fight, right? Because I don't know if they were both drunk, who knows. But he ended up killing her. And then when Ed Flynn was made aware of the situation, like, oh, by the way, we have been to this property 5 or 6 times, however many times over the past however many years. So the writing was on the wall that this woman was likely going to get killed because the number of times the police had been to that resident and they didn't do anything with the guy. They didn't arrest him, or they'd say something like, oh, well, you go to your mom's house tonight, or maybe you get a hotel room, which doesn't solve the problem. Take a break, come back, give you some details about the different aspects of those people who call themselves Democrats. We're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. If you haven't done so already, go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 101.7 The Truth. Hit subscribe, and then you'll be a cool person. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
What's up, Truth Nation? It's your girl, Noni Juice, and I want you to tune into my Making Your Money Work interview with Associated Bank this Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. I am so excited to be joined by Tamara Castle, AVP and CRA Mortgage Loan Officer at Associated Bank, and we will be having an insightful conversation on home ownership, and we'll break down the home buying process. So if you are a first-time home buyer or just in the market for buying a home, you will not want to miss this interview this Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. on Jammin' with Juice.
When you work in early childhood education, you know the value of a good head start. And an early childhood educator apprenticeship offers just that to future educators and employers alike. Early childhood educator apprenticeships combine on-the-job training with related instruction that can be completed in 2 years with little to no student debt. Apprentices earn an income and the qualifications to excel in a center, opening a future of possibilities. And employer benefits too, gaining a trained employee they know and trust with qualifications to support another classroom, meaning more classrooms for more kids and more opportunity for your business. Get connected with an apprenticeship training representative to create an apprenticeship program tailored to your business. Put the future in good hands. Learn more about early childhood educator apprenticeships at wisconsinapprenticeship.org. This project is being supported in whole or in part by a grant awarded to the Department of Workforce Development by the U.S. Department of Labor.
All insurance companies, they want to know where are your cars housed. Right. They want to know how far are you driving to get to and from work every day. Mm-hmm. They want to know all these different things for weather patterns. Are you living in northern Wisconsin, or are you living down in Tornado Alley somewhere in Kentucky? These things make a difference as to how your insurance rates are formed. It needs you to be factual, and every single time somebody commits these different frauds, it all adds up, and everybody ends up paying the price for it down the road.
Erie Insurance, providing the protection you need and the service you expect, all at a great price. Tune in to the award-winning 101.7 The Truth this Saturday, 10 a.m. for another episode of Diversity and Excellence, powered by Erie Insurance, hosted by me, Dr. Ken Harris, and Fred Johnson, Vice President, Wisconsin State Manager for Erie Insurance. Fred and I will be talking about reckless driving in Milwaukee, the negative impact it's having, and how much you pay for car insurance and how it affects your safety. So tune in. Don't miss Diversity and Excellence, powered by Erie Insurance, this Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth.
Bikers need protection, not just from other drivers, but unfortunately from insurance companies too. We've been fighting for injured bikers and their families for more than 30 years. Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I just can't leave well enough alone. Somebody doubted the percentage of police officers that. So I say an alcohol problem if you incorporate substance abuse. And so you're never going to get like 100% of all the statistics, because technically a substance abuse problem, whether it be illicit drugs or alcohol, is a medical issue, and people have a right to medical privacy. So the number is always going to be, the number that we get is going to be a lot lower than what it probably is. But I find this to be a credible source. And there's a whole bunch of just articles that are focused on it. From Psychology Today, addiction within law enforcement communities across America is widespread and a serious problem. 1 out of every 4 police officers on the street has an alcohol or drug abuse issue. And substance use disorder among police officers are estimated to range between 20 and 30%, as compared to less than 10% for the general population. So at its best, it's double what the general population's substance abuse disorder percentages are. And there's reasons, though. These substance abuse statistics within the law enforcement community is shocking. Repeated exposure to high stress, life-threatening situations coupled with long hours and an insular culture appear to turn police officers toward alcohol or drugs in order to cope and relax. The good news is that they enter recovery faster when treatment integrates their living environment. Police officers are often in the midst of other people's crises and fights, domestic violence, shootings, bloody crime scenes, and fatal car accidents, which sometimes puts their own lives at risk. Cops face high-stress situations several times a week, especially in urban areas. They are charged with making instant decisions in these immediate situations. To add to this pressure, of late, the whole community and sometimes the whole country judges them after the fact while watching the news from the comfort of their homes, which adds a layer of guilt. In addition, police officers' schedules can be grueling, often working rotating and overtime shifts. As a result, officers can often be fighting fatigue and lack of sleep, which can and will impair hand-eye coordination, and reaction times. These untraditional work schedules can often deprive officers of time with their families, and none of that is a shock to anybody. You know who else is a profession marked by really super high drug use, drug abuse, and alcohol abuse syndromes? Nurses. Oh, yeah. Oh, they got it bad, too. And plus, nurses, here's the thing with them. They come in contact with so many illicit and illegal drugs as a part of their daily routine. And sometimes the access that they have to some of these drugs, does not make the substance abuse issues they deal with any easier. So, yeah, when you think about policing in this country, and we're more concerned about the output, we also have this erroneous understanding that, the more police you have, the safer you are. That's not true. That's not ever true. You can't police your way out of crime. Communities that have the safest track records oftentimes have the fewest police. You can go to certain communities. I'm going to let you pick one somewhere outside of Milwaukee, though, where there's just not a lot of crime or not a lot of violent crime. And you'll drive around through that community and you won't see any police officers. Seriously, you won't see a single one. Not one. Because communities that have lower rates of crime oftentimes have more resources. That is what needs to be injected. But because Milwaukee and Milwaukeeans and those that come to Milwaukee from other places want to see cops to feel safe, that's where we keep investing. So it's not going to make crime go down, because if you look at what some of the root causes of crime and criminality are, police don't address that. Police can, if you have more cops, they can just show up a little faster. The response times are cut down. But that doesn't end the root cause of the crime in the first place. And punishment is not sufficient either. We got to lock these people up for a long time. Okay, pick a prison sentence that you believe is fitting for whatever crime. And some of y'all think if somebody steals a car, they should get the death penalty. But just pick a sentence. 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, first offense, third offense, whatever. Those people come out of jail. And it's not like when they come out, they're like, I sure learned my lesson. I'll never do that again. Jail sucked. Now, they all will tell you that jail sucks, but jail doesn't suck enough for some of them to not recidivate, because they're returning to the same unresourced neighborhood that sent them to jail in the first place. I've had so many stories over the years. So this is also when I found out about these rules that accompany extended supervision. And if you're released early, or you're serving a portion of your sentence, how they call out of confinement, so you got a 20-year sentence, but you only did 6 months in actual confinement, but you have 19 years and 6 months on extended supervision, where you're not in jail, but you're still under the thumb of your probation and or parole officer, and they'll give you these rules. Can't drink alcohol, can't socialize with certain people. They'll literally say certain addresses that you can't go to. And I remember one guy sent me his list of rules that he had to follow. And none of these rules are illegal. It's just stuff he couldn't do because his probation and parole officer said, well, here's a list of rules you're going to follow because you're lucky that you're getting out of jail. You're still on paper. So here are the rules that you have to follow because you're still on paper. None of those rules were illegal. Right? But they make it extremely difficult for someone to have any semblance of a life. And one of the rules was, and this guy it was 60 rules. It was 3 pages he sent me. I couldn't believe it. And if he violated any of those rules at any point in time, he would go back and serve the rest of his sentence in confinement. So he was walking on eggshells all the time and always had to listen to his baby mama threaten to call his PO on him, which I'm sure is not very comforting to hear. Because she knew that if he violated any of those rules, he's going back to jail. So she had like this power over him to get rid of him at the snap of a finger. And that's not nice to do that. So one of the rules he had is he couldn't go back to the last address that he was at before he was arrested, because at that residence, that's where a crime took place. And so one of the rules is, hey, you can't ever go back to this address. Well, the address that he could never go back to, and the address in which he was arrested, was his aunt's house. This man has a child, and his child's mother lives with the aunt. So unless the child's mother went somewhere else, left the aunt's house, that's the only way he could see his child. And believe it or not, the mother of his child never left the aunt's house. So he was frustrated because he was never able to see his child. So what did he end up doing? He wanted to see his baby. went to his aunt's house. Somebody called the police, right back in jail. And there's very little appeal. And I didn't know any of this stuff about the criminal justice system. These rules that people get when you're released from prison, you're released from confinement, but you're still on paper. It is impossible to live, and it's terrible. So they will put folks in the Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility. And, sometimes people will sit there for years until they're able to get another hearing to see if they can get released again. And what makes it just so incredibly unfair is the rules that they violate are not actually a violation of law. They're just a violation of rules that they had to subscribe to in order to complete their out-of-confinement sentence. It's terrible, terrible stuff. You're listening to something that's not terrible. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Are you passionate about helping your community? Join us. Milwaukee County Aging and Disability Services is hosting a hiring event on Wednesday, August 21st from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Zufari Conference Center. We're recruiting for supervisors, staff, and more. Come meet our team and learn how you can make a difference. On-the-spot applications and interviews available. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, August 21st, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Zufari Conference Center located at 9715 West Blue Mound Road. We can't wait to see you there.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over the past 20 years, Wisconsin has seen a huge increase in reported elder abuse cases. Elder abuse is the verbal, physical, emotional, sexual, or financial abuse of a senior citizen. It can also be the intentional or unintentional neglect of an older person. Wisconsin's population of seniors 65 and older is projected to grow significantly in the coming decades. That's why we all share the responsibility to help protect our seniors by recognizing and reporting any signs of elder abuse. If you believe that elder abuse has been inflicted upon yourself or someone you know, please report it. Call the Wisconsin Elder Abuse Hotline toll-free at 1-833-586-0107 or visit reportelderabusewI.org. Respect our elders. Report abuse. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Justice.
This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $120,000 with 100% funding by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Attention, Milwaukee County. When it comes to stroke, every second counts. Remember to be fast. B-E-F-A-S-T.
B, balance. Are you having trouble with coordination or balance? E, eyes. Sudden blurred or double vision. Have you lost sight in one eye or both? F, face drooping. Is your smile lopsided or your face numb or drooping? A, arm weakness. Are you having difficulty reaching for things? Does your arm drift downward when placed in front of you? S, speech difficulty. Is it difficult to speak? Try saying, the sky is blue. Does that come out correctly? T, terrible headache. Are you having pain in your head? Experiencing more than one of these symptoms? Time to call 911.
Remember, recognizing these signs and acting fast can save a life. If you or someone you know experiences these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. This message is brought to you by the Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management. Stay informed, stay safe.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
We're going to talk about the details of who Democratic voters are, but I had to let y'all know the cops have a substance abuse problem. All right, JD the Poet says firefighters too. Oh yeah, firefighters can outdrink cops. But for some reason, like how they exhibit their character, because firefighters are cops too, but they're different. And cops and firefighters don't always get along. In fact, firefighters will tell you, like, we run into burning buildings with water. Cops have guns and tasers and billy clubs and pepper spray. They're like, we have We have water, and we run into fires. People go to Zad's or the Why Not too. Are those cop bars, JD? You know that the Why Not is Tony spelled backwards? Tony. Tony. That's because the guy who owns it, or Tony was his name, so he just took his name backwards and calls it the Why Not. JD says they both open at 6 a.m. So that's third shift people, right? Yeah, people that work third shift officers at Vanessa. What else they saying over here? Plenty of places in Milwaukee to do so. Bab says, I worked third shift for 5 years, and I would go out after work sometimes with my coworkers. I never understood that about third shift workers. So nurses, another one, high substance abuse potential amongst nurses, will literally go out and get drunk at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know about you, but alcohol tastes different in the day and nasty in the morning. Alcohol is never tasty. There's never an alcoholic beverage. Oh my God, that's delicious. If it is delicious, it's because it's mixed with delicious things to where I have to fool my taste buds. Like, oh, that's good. What is this drink? Oh, it's got this and that. Like Bloody Marys. Bloody Mary it's a bunch of stuff. Some Bloody Marys come with a cheeseburger hanging out of it, chicken wings, probably a piece of fried catfish, all these other things to mask the taste of the vodka. Let's talk to the caller. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. Excellent day out. And as you know, I start my week out with a heavy dose of cardio. I hope you do the same on this great day. Gotten about an hour and some change in. And going to do some strength training later. So I don't know which category of statistics I would fall in, but there you have it with that. The probation thing with the guy with his child's mother living with his aunt, it's like a horror story because it seems like his aunt probably didn't like him very much. Because if that's most people, and particularly myself, I don't want to say most, just me, I think I could call my aunt and say, bring my kid down to the corner so that I don't go to jail. And, you know, I don't know how in-depth of conversation you had with him about that situation, but
the aunt can't take his child. So they all live together with the aunt. Right. So he was already on paper for something else, and then he had a domestic violence charge at the aunt's house because they all lived together. So that was the last address he got arrested at. That was an address that was listed on his rules for release of why he couldn't go back. The aunt can't say, hey, let me take my niece or nephew and go take my niece or nephew to go see the father. The mother wouldn't do that.
I would.
Oh, we lost him. The caller hung up. But to clarify, though, so because that would be simple and be commonsensical that the aunt would say, hey, I want my nephew to be able to see his child. Hey, baby mama, let me take the child over to go and see my nephew. The mother would just say no because the aunt doesn't have any custody or jurisdiction over that child. So if the mother says, no, I don't want you, woman that I'm living with, to take my child to see my child's father, then the aunt had no recourse whatsoever. There's nothing that the aunt could do. He didn't get into details about his relationship with the aunt, but I know that his aunt's house where he lived with his child and his child's mother is where he was arrested. And that was an address he could never return to. So he ended up getting his own place, but he was having a custody battle. And I'd imagine if you are an on-paper felon and one of your charges is domestic violence, probably really, really tough to get placement and or custody of your child. Now, I'm sure there are situations where that is possible, but the amount of time you have to spend, I don't know if people appreciate this, like you have to basically sue. A man has to sue in some cases to see his child. You got to get a lawyer. You got to go to court. You got to have hearings. You got to have all this other stuff. And then if he doesn't have the time or the money, the time for all the court cases and the money to pay the lawyer, someone will have the nerve to say, oh, he didn't fight hard enough to see his child. That's a horrible, horrible thing to say. Oh, well, he needs to sue better than get a better attorney, get a more expensive attorney, take more time off of work. And when one of his conditions may be you have to always be employed. If you're a felon that's you're on paper, you have to have a job all the time. Or guess what? If you lose your job, you're going back to jail because there can be no period of time in which you're unemployed. So think about the pressure that someone must be under. Now, let's not also lose sight of some of the crimes that people commit to put themselves in those situations. But then we wonder why they have such a high rate of recidivism because like the rules they have to follow is it's very hard. Number one, the racial and ethnic composition of Democratic voters has changed in recent decades. More than 4 in 10 Democratic voters, or 44%, are Hispanic, Black, Asian, another race, or multiracial. This is roughly double the share that it was in 1996 at 23%. So the growth of the Democratic Party, as far as voters go, has been in those people that I mentioned, Hispanic, Black, Asian, multiracial, or another race. So that is where the Democratic Party has got to focus its policy objectives and its initiatives and their outreach because that's where the growth is. So I can see how some Caucasian folk, especially the rural ones, are feeling disconnected to the Democratic Party because the Democrats have to go to where their future is, and their future is not in the whites. If you just look at the overall demographic trajectory of the United States of America, there's just less white people. One of the reasons why they are so staunchly pro-life, even though the percentages of Latina women and Black women that have abortions are higher, population-wise, there's less Latina and less Black women. So even though white women have less abortions, and a lot of times white women have better access to reproductive health care altogether, better access to birth control, especially since they've, in certain parts of the country, in certain states, they've closed Planned Parenthoods. They may be reopened now, but for a period of time, like that was a really big deal because that's where some women of color and lower income women got their reproductive health care. So when you close a Planned Parenthood, you can count the number of unintended pregnancies that are going to happen as a result. And because white women have always had more access to reproductive health care, they have fewer abortions. But if 10% of white women terminate a pregnancy at some point in their life, that is more terminated pregnancies than if 30% of Black women or Latina women did. That is why abortion has been made, or they're trying to make it illegal nationally. Even though the percentages are smaller, the raw numbers of abortions are higher. Number two, the share of Democratic voters with at least a 4-year college degree has doubled since 1990. This is one of the most stark contrast that exists between the demographics of these warring political parties. I'm sure some of you can think of an anecdote or two where you're a Democrat. Maybe you have a higher level of education, which doesn't make you smart or intelligent. It just means you finished taking some classes. That's really what it is. Intelligence is different because intelligence you can have without the fancy degree. However, if you're naturally intelligent and you have the critical thinking skills and the research ability and a love for learning that you may have developed through a course of study in higher education, you're a double-edged sword or a triple threat or something. Intelligence is, can you use what you know and what you have learned to solve problems? Some people know a lot of stuff. They know many things. They know about who fought in the War of 1812. They know about people in Europe that did European things. They know many things. But if you can't use what you know to solve your problems or other people's problems, then that's not intelligent. You can be smart, but intelligence is let's say you're broke. You ain't got no money at all, and you have a job. You just don't have, I don't know where your money goes. You buy catfish and tequila. I don't know where you spend your money. None of my business. Maybe you'll have more money now that Elsa's is not serving chicken wings. Maybe you'll finally be able to invest in the stock market now that Elsa's is taking wings and nachos off the menu. God bless you. But if you can't solve your problem of brokenness with what you know what I mean? Then you're not, this is no like slight against people that think they're intelligent but aren't. Does what you know, what you've learned, what you've acquired, in books you've read, classes you've taken, or life experience, because you don't need books and classes to be intelligent. The things that you have learned, have you been able to successfully take those things you've learned and solve your problems? And maybe one of your problems is being broke. Intelligent people will say, hey, I know a bunch of stuff. Let me use some of these other things that I know to make some money so I can go and buy chicken and wings from, let's say, Points East or some other chicken wing place. What's wrong with Kentucky Fried Chicken? You can't get wings at KFC, can you? I don't think you can get a box of 30 wings from KFC. You would think so. You would think they would be the king of wings. You're listening to The Truth. I'm also the king of wings. Hosted by Sherwin Hughes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Friday Night Lights officially lives here. 1017 The Truth is the proud home of Marquette University High School Championship football. Be sure to tune in every Friday night at 7 p.m. as we bring you some of the best gridiron action in the area. Marquette Hilltoppers football is presented by Gruber Law Offices and sponsored by Capital Insurance Agency, Magic Productions, Annex Wealth Management, C.G. Schmidt, Left's Lucky Town, Liberty Engineering, Boyle Frederickson Intellectual Property Law, and Marquette University High School.
What distinguishes Old National Bank from other lenders in helping people buy their first home and furthering their small businesses?
One thing that really makes us stand out is our grants. We have 2 really big grants right now specifically for first-time home buyers buying in Milwaukee County. The first one is for $15,000. They have to be buying within Milwaukee County and reach certain income limits. And then the second one is for $20,000, and that is through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Indiana. We're headquartered in Indiana, as you know, Denise. So that is a second grant, and that is really the highest, most robust grant program throughout the entire southeastern Wisconsin area. So it's it's up to $35,000 essentially that a person could be receiving for their first home. If you are in a position that you're looking to buy your first home throughout Milwaukee County, please give me a call. Please contact me. I'm more than happy to help everybody that I can.
And what's your number, Anna?
Sure.
How can they reach you?
414-978-0283.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know whether it's a new home or a new car. You've worked hard to achieve your dreams, and we work hard to protect them so you can enjoy the utmost peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found a phone number? 1-800-662-HELP. What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. For help with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/knowtherisks.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Going over some demographic features of people who self-identify as Democratic voters, because I want some of you that are out there listening that identify as Democrats to know the demographic makeup of what the party is and what the party is becoming in the future. It'll also help you make sense out of why the Democratic Party says what it does what it does, and nominates who it nominates. It makes sense that Kamala Harris is the Democratic nominee. It totally does, because the group of people that vote for Democrats in the absolute highest number, if you want to maximize Democratic turnout, the candidate at the very least has got to be somewhat appealing to African American women. So I'm not going to argue about Kamala Harris's, her blackness. I'll let y'all do that amongst yourselves. But she is as close as the Democrats can get. She went to HBCU. I think her father being Jamaican is enough credibility for me. But whoever the person is that can maximize Democratic turnout, it's got to be someone that's at least marginally appealing to black women. Felix says, how about a mimosa? A mimosa is good because you mix it with orange juice, and orange juice is sweet, and most champagne and Prosecco is dry, and champagne is disgusting. Admit it. You don't like the way champagne tastes. The only champagne that's good is champagne that's sweet. The only champagne, this is me personally now, my taste in alcohol clearly different than y'all's. The only champagne that I've ever had that is actually good is Bel Air. It's Rick Ross's champagne. It's pink. He's got a pink one. He's got a bunch of different ones, but it's a pink one and it's sweet. It tastes like soda pop. It's very good. But other champagne, like fancy champagne, what's the one that's got the yellow bottle? Like a fool, I bought a bottle for this gal. I regret that. Clicquot. Vouve, Clicquot, Vouve. Disgusting. You know what champagne tastes like? I'm going to be honest with you. Get mad at me if you want to. It tastes like static. Remember when we had analog TV and like if a channel didn't come in, it was like staticky, like white noise? Champagne tastes like white noise. It's like, shh. If that was a drink, and White Claws too. White Claws taste like static. It's like sparkling water. It's just it tastes like static does. And champagne is not good. JD says, I just lost it, JD. Oh, he said, people don't drink alcohol for the taste. They drink to get drunk and or forget. Some people. If you talk to like a Scotch or a bourbon, people that like traveled to Kentucky to tour a bourbon distillery, like the taste of bourbon. Oh, as an aside, they also get drunk when they drink too much of it. But there are people that genuinely like the taste of an earthy, mossy Scotch grown only in a certain part of Scotland. Only that's where they distill it at. It's got to be called Scotch. It's got to be made or brewed or distilled in Scotland. Just like champagne isn't champagne unless it comes from a place in France called Champagne. Did you know that? If it's made somewhere else, you got to call it something different. It's only called champagne if it comes from a place in France. I think cognac might be the same way. You can't call it cognac unless it's made in like the cognac region of France, which is stupid. But if that's the case, beer should just be called Milwaukee. Well, if it's not made in Milwaukee, you have to call it something else. Sparkling malt beverage. That's another one. Can we come to a collective agreement on this? I know we disagree on many things. Boy, am I going to ruffle some feathers with this one. Beer is nasty, too. It is. If you drink light beer, and if you have like 3 or 4 of them or whatever your tolerance is, after a while it doesn't taste like anything anymore. You can just drink them. But beer is gross. And I never understood the people like, ooh, it's a hot day. I sure am thirsty. Let me open up a beer. Even fancy beers are disgusting. Al, are you a beer drinker?
No, I'm not a beer drinker. I'm not beer is an acquired taste, but I know a lot of people love Delirium, which is imported beer from Belgium, and you have to open it with a corkscrew. It's called Delirium. It's supposed to be equivalent to 9 MGDs, but I'm not really a fan of beer. But I do like my double barrel Scotch on the rocks. Or you give me some old granddad bourbon, but you light it first before you drink it and blow out the flame, and I will drink that.
Oh, that's very sophisticated, Al.
And they got a good Chardonnay too called Sweet B-I-T, and you put the other 2 letters on. That's a real good Chardonnay.
Wait. It's called Sweet B-word?
Yeah.
Huh. I'd be afraid to drink that. That might cause a problem. You drink?
No, that's real good, and they have a good rum that goes good with ribs too. It's a Jamaican rum from Jamaica. It's called Big Black D-I. You can put on the other 2 letters.
Al, why do the names of some of the alcohols you reference have vulgar names?
I couldn't tell you. It was brung to me. I had that with some ribs.
Somebody brought you some big black D with some ribs.
No, it was in the drink. They was already touching on mine, so I didn't have to drink it. But everybody have one. But what I'm saying is that goes good with ribs. The Chardonnay, the sweet D, that goes good before you eat your dinner, and then you move to the red wine when you come to heavy meats.
Thank you, Al. That's very sound advice. Where can I find some of these alcohols? I'm not sure. I only got like 30 seconds left in this segment, Al, so if you want to like get started, then hold on. We can do it that way, or I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, I can wait.
All right. So hang on, Al. Don't go anywhere. Leave it up to Al to have beverages. Do y'all believe the names of those? I don't know if maybe those are nicknames for those beverages, because I'm not going to the liquor store. Hi, I'm looking for some big black D. Like, oh, it's an aisle 3, or it's behind the counter. I don't know if I would ever ask for that. The truth was Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
The NBA playoffs are finally here.
Drives in on Giannis, puts the shot up, rejected by Giannis on the second jump.
And the quest for a championship starts on Bucks Talk with Justin Garcia.
He's been their best three-point shooter so far. He's just found his niche.
Every series right here. And it starts in round 1 when the Bucks try to take down the Miami Heat.
Punishing dunk from the Greek Freak. Take that.
You can listen live throughout the playoffs right here on WTMJ. For love of the game.
There's nothing like being selected to the Olympic team.
And love of their country.
Championship of that level, gold medal, means more.
Tune into Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Inside stories from Bucks stars on the agony and triumph of competing to win it all at the Olympics. It's Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
Truth Nation, let us talk our ish for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like Vice President Kamala Harris.
Talk with your listeners to remind them of their power and the importance of voting. And the folks in Milwaukee turned out for me and Joe Biden in 2020. You showed what was possible.
U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, are you a racist?
Absolutely not.
Is Donald Trump a racist?
Absolutely not. No.
And civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump.
Thank you all for speaking truth to power. That's the most important thing, because right now there are those in our community who would rather we just be quiet.
Right.
We have to disturb the peace now more than ever.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk.
Research shows that high-quality teachers have the greatest impact on student success during the school day. By shaping their students, they are shaping the future. Yet while actors have Oscars, musicians have Grammys, and athletes have gold medals, exemplary educators who prepare every profession are just not recognized enough. The Milken Educator Awards set out to change that by surprising outstanding educators across the nation with $25,000 prizes and providing a platform to celebrate, elevate, and activate the profession.
Erica Stevens!
The awards were created by Lowell Milken of the national nonprofit Milken Family Foundation. The journey to surprising the 3,000th Milken Educator is in full swing. Who will be next?
Honey, they chose me.
Celebrate teachers, value teachers, thank teachers.
You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with Associated Bank. Your money works here. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. So JD found pictures of the rum called Big Black D word. You know the D word we're talking about. It's like a nickname for somebody named Richard. It's actually a real alcohol. How do you explain that to someone? Someone may say, oh, you were out last night. What were you drinking when you were out last night? Some Big Black D. I feel like that. I couldn't drink that. How would I order it? The bartender better have it in stock or have a real good sense of humor. I couldn't order it. It'd have to be the person that I'm with, a woman, because if a man orders it, that's probably worse. Hi, can Sherwin and I have 2 shots of Big Black D, please? That's good marketing, I suppose. All right, hello, Al. Thank you for holding. There was more I'm sure you wanted to say, even though you got the chat in a frenzy talking about the Big Black D rum.
Well, you can also order that from Caribbean Liquors, but usually the inner city liquor stores, or if you go to a wine place for the Sweet Bee, they can order it because you can get like a case for like $60. Because I remember I took a case to downtown to the YMCA when they were down there for the women for one Christmas. I took them a big case of the sweet, but the Big Black comes in 5 different flavors too. So I was going to say, but it tastes very, very good. So some of y'all will like it, so you got to play with it a little bit.
So you got to play with the Big Black D because the Big Black D comes in many flavors and you think that people will like it.
Well, it comes in all different flavors and it depends on what they like, what they meet,
Okay.
I know that didn't sound right.
Nope.
But
nothing you said it sounded right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move forward real quick. Now, I was going to tell you, when you brought up the Black Republicans. Now, Black Republicans of today are totally different from the Black Republicans from back then. But now, today, a lot of the Black Republicans is all about standing with a certain class or group of people where they can go against other people, and the people they're going against is not against them. But last night I was doing some deep thinking, and this is where it gets rich. You know how a lot of them talk about their religious views and stuff. So I said, let's think about this. If Jesus was here or God, would they really stand with him? And think about this. This is where it really gets rich. He was a white, slender man with porcelain skin, right? Long blonde hair, like Melissa Daniels, or what's that lady's name? Alyssa Epps. Long blonde hair. He only hung with men, which was the 12 disciples. He defended only prostitutes, right? 33 years old, never had no cat, and he was nonviolent. These people of today will not stand with that God because they will talk about him like a fool because they will say he gives feminine energy. 33 years old, never had no cat, only hang with men, and we know how our people talk. Think about that. Do you really think they will stand with a person like that? Or let's take it a step further. What if he was black? Big, powerful, strong, drop-dead gorgeous, 33 years old, virgin, never touched cat, but hang with nothing but men. And stick up for prostitutes and ain't even give a dab and playing or touching one. They wouldn't follow that guy because they would say he was too feminine. So when I thought about that last night, I said, you know what, something ain't right about this Republican Party. Because when they bring up all this stuff about masculinity, and when you look at the pictures back then of that guy with that long blonde hair like Crystal Gill or Sarah Fawcett, or what was that porn star that Donald Trump was messing with? What was her name?
Stormy
Daniels. Long hair, long blonde.
You comparing Jesus to Stormy Daniels?
Well, I'm just saying long blonde hair like Stormy Daniels, if it came down to her waist. Never had no cat and hung only with men. They wouldn't follow that guy at all because they'd say that's too much of a feminine energy. And when I thought about that last night, I said, yeah, I see why I push back, and I see why there's so many hypocrites when it comes to the religious people, where they say, well, God, this God coming back. But when you look at what he represents, they wouldn't stand with that anyway. But I just wanted to, share that information with you. And one more thing before I go. You talked about 40% of those police officers are woman beaters. But not only they mess with that heavy liquor, they don't forget that meth, that crystal meth, that crack, that coke, and that heroin, because when them lists be moving like a tranquility and they ain't talking to nobody, they done slipped a couple of hits of that heroin. So they brain up there tap dancing like Elvis Presley and Sammy Davis Jr. Trying to go against each other. So they messing with more than liquor. So ain't only liquor up there. There's probably a straight shooter in the bathroom under the sink somewhere, but they just ain't told you. Well, I gotta go, but I wanted to share that information with you. But yeah. Try some of that liquor. Some of that liquor is real, real good, especially the sweet D. It's nice, it's smooth, and then that big black D, yeah, that tastes real good with red meat. And don't forget the red wine, but start with Chardonnay before y'all go to the heavy meat. Y'all have a good day, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Al. Remember, the rum Big Black D tastes good with heavy meat. I won't be trying it just because I don't think I need to. I've lived this much of my life not even knowing that something existed. I'm not really all that adventurous. I like what I like, and I've had the opportunity to try many things, and I've found at this point in time in my life the things that I like, and I just don't. And not to knock anybody else's preferences. Let me be abundantly clear. If you guys like it, I love it. But I think at the age that I am now, I'm not gonna find myself loving Big Black D. You know what I mean? It's just not in the cards for me. It's in the cards for a lot of you. Maybe one of you will try it. And you'll call us up here, 1017 The Truth. Hey, Sherwin, I got some Big Black D right here, right next to me. I'm gonna drink a little bit, drink a little sip of the Big Black. The share of Democratic voters with at least a 4-year college degree has roughly doubled since 1990. I'm getting this show back on track. See, this is what y'all do to me. See there? You see that? I come to work every day with good intentions. Al over here bringing up the fact that Jesus, he was a righteous man. He didn't need pleasures of the flesh. So what if he hung with men? I mean, a football team is 22 men, and they're all hanging out together, so that's fine. It is a unique perspective, though, that Al has. You got to give him that. You may not agree with it, but his perspective is creative, and we entertain creativity. The increase in voters with a college degree has been sharper among Democrats than among Republicans. Today, 45% of Democratic voters have at least a bachelor's degree, and that's up from 22% in 1996. So Democrats have essentially doubled their percentage of voters, or those that affiliate with the Democratic Party, with college degrees in the last 30 years. Among Republicans, the change has been more modest. 35% of Republican voters have at least a 4-year degree, compared with 27% in 1996. White Americans without a 4-year degree made up a majority of Democratic voters in the 90s. Today, they're only about a quarter at 26%. So the Democrats are the party of 4-year college degrees. Doesn't make them better. On that fact, it does not make them better. It just means that their relationship with higher education is different than that of the Republicans, and they are exposed to different paradigms and different types of critical thinking than the majority of Republican voters, which explains a lot of the discord between the conversations. In some of the political chats that you guys have had, and it could be with members of your family, and let's say you're one of those Democrats with a 4-year degree and then some, trying to have a solid political debate or discussion with someone who maybe only has a high school diploma. And I'm not saying those can't be very productive and solid conversations, but you may have additional information that they have never been exposed to. And most Americans, if we hear something for the first time and it doesn't make any sense to us because maybe it goes counter or contrary to what we believe, our first thing is to discredit it. Mark Twain said it best. It's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Number 3, religiously, nearly half of Democratic voters at 46% identify as something other than Christian. This is a big deal. Let's talk to Tony. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
How you doing, brother? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Tony?
All right. Look, I have a slight problem with Kamala. Look, I'm happy for her. I like how she's this threw the Trump Republican campaign off the rails. They didn't see this coming. There was a reason why Trump never wanted Biden to drop out, because he knew what would happen, and it's happening. My only problem with her is her. I don't see any counter ads. Her ads she has right now are weak at best. Where are the counterattacks on immigration that the Republicans killed themselves in the cause for this? And now they got economic ads against her all over Milwaukee. Where are her counterattack ads? All this money you raised, where are the attack ads? I mean, all I see is you grew up this, you did this. That's weak. Where are your attack ads against Trump? Biden had more attack ads than she has. I mean, what's going on?
How much television do you watch in a day, Tony? And how much social media do you consume? How much? Because those attack ads are 100% there. So they're attacking Trump and Vance on reproductive rights and on abortion. I've seen the ad multiple times where they're talking about how Donald Trump told Republicans not to support that immigration bill that was supported by other Republicans because it would have helped Joe Biden and hurt him. They're attacking Donald Trump from that's why I'm asking, how much television do you watch?
Well, to be fair, I watch about an hour and a half in the morning when I get up, and maybe 2-3 hours when I get home.
What do you watch? Do you watch broadcast television? So it's
broadcast.
Okay, so you're not going to see it. Do you watch cable? Do you watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News? Do you watch?
No, I do not.
That's where those ads are running.
No. Okay, why aren't they running a network in Milwaukee?
Too expensive, and it's not targeted enough. So if you know the demographic profile of people that watch CNN between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m., and you know the demographic profile of people that watch MSNBC between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m., spending ad money there is going to be much more effective than just having ads on Channel 4, because Channel 4 might just broadcast to all of southeastern Wisconsin, where you got Democrats and Republicans whose minds are made up already. So broadcast is more like an old school type of advertising. Most advertising, quite honestly, is done this thing they call pre-roll. Do you ever watch YouTube videos? Do you ever go to YouTube and watch like shows or anything? Oh, he hung up. All right. Every time I go to YouTube, there's a pre-roll of a Kamala Harris ad. I'll see probably 5 Kamala Harris, or Tammy Baldwin is actually outpacing Kamala Harris on my YouTube algorithm. So every YouTube video I go to, there's an ad that starts playing. Tony's back. So Tony, how much do you spend time watching? You spend time watching YouTube, Tony?
Once in a while, just for one-on-one the truth. To be honest with you,
so you're missing a lot of where that. So it's not that the ads aren't running. You just aren't being exposed to them. So don't base your political sentiment on whether you like Kamala or not because you're not seeing counter ads. You're not consuming enough media to get bombarded by those ads like the rest of us. And that's a good thing, because you don't want to get bombarded with the ads because it's boring.
That's true, but that knucklehead is all over network. Shouldn't she have at least a couple?
No, because it's much more specific and much more targeted where she's advertising. I trust how she is targeting her ads way better than Trump. And network television is it's like older white people are watching Channel 4, Channel 6, Channel 12, and Channel 58. Yeah, there's African Americans that are watching those stations too, but way more Caucasian folks who might be looking for Trump ads will watch broadcast television versus YouTube. I mean, they're advertising on TikTok, on Facebook, all over the place. Things that you may not consume very often, other voters are. So those ads are out there.
All right, thanks. I'm glad. Because I tell you, come November, I got a very, very good feeling. I got a very good feeling this will be the end of the Nazi regime. I think I got a good feeling on it.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you calling there, Tony. You gotta be careful how you throw that Nazi thing around. Nazis are Nazis. There's not really a comparison. There might be like similarities in some specific philosophies, but I don't like watering down Nazis to other stuff that we find offensive. Fascist, yes. Nazi, it's real specific. They were like a real specific group. All right, let's take a break, come back, give you more information about who these damn Democratic voters are. And yes, there's a lot of ads being run by the Tammy Baldwin campaign, the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz campaign, but it depends on the kind of media that you consume. And again, I'm not saying that Tony is doing this. Don't base your political decisions off of ads, because ads are propaganda. You got to go a little bit deeper than the ads, because they're not always going to tell the whole story. So go a little bit deeper, just a little research, do a little reading, do a little Googling, talk to your friends and your family and share sentiments with them, and maybe they'll give you the additional details that you need to become a well-informed voter. You are listening to a show that caters to the well-informed voter, and it's called The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call That's All Gruber Cash Giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 101.7 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
The Empowerment Small Business Loan Program, we're talking about up to $5 million, which for small business owners, we need that. That's like payroll, that's resources. So can you just let us know, what is the program and why is this lending program so important to Old National Bank?
Years ago, our CEO, Jim Ryan, this program is his brainchild. He was working with Roland Shelton, who you know, Denise, out of Evansville, and they identified that African-American business owners, Hispanic business owners, Native American business owners, as well as women business owners had a difficult time in obtaining financing from the traditional credit partners. And so we went out, created a program, launched it last year, 2023. And so far last year, we have helped over 100 successful minority and women-owned businesses with about $25 million in loans. We've already started this year with almost $8 million in approvals, again, geared toward minority business owners and women business owners that normally had difficulties in obtaining traditional credit finance.
In our community, you will find a Center for Food Security. You'll discover a Center for Behavioral Health Support, a proven Center for Home Care, a successful Center for Employment, a Center for Trauma Recovery, and more. We are Centers for Independence. Find out how you can support Centers for Independence's work and mission at cfihope.org/independence.
Everywhere in America, families are struggling with an all-too common problem.
She missed school again.
Again?
Something is going on. She's secretive.
Should we check her backpack?
When you suspect a family member has a substance use disorder, it's hard to know what to do next.
We need to talk to her.
Starting the conversation is the first step to getting help. Visit SAMHSA at samhsa.gov/families for tips. Or for treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Okay, Fred, so I got some questions.
What's up?
Where should I go if I want to start my own business?
You go to EerieInsurance.com.
Okay, Fred, so where should I go if my kid needs an internship? Or if I need a job, where do I go?
You go to EerieInsurance.com.
Okay, so what if I want to work for a company that believes in diversity, has great benefits, and growth for people like us?
You already know. It's EerieInsurance.com.
Man, so Fred, I just need to go to Erie Insurance?
Go to EerieInsurance.com for all that you need.
It's amazing!
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, our girl Melanie Ricks is back. Tune into the debut of Nothing But the Truth with Melanie Ricks' new digital show on YouTube at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Every Wednesday, Melanie will break down the latest in entertainment, sports, pop culture, and all the things Milwaukee. So mark your calendars and set your clock so you do not miss the debut of Nothing But the Truth digital show tomorrow at 6 p.m., streaming only on YouTube. August is Black Business Month, and the award-winning 1017 The Truth is teaming up with Associated Bank to celebrate the excellence of Black-owned businesses in our community. Together, we are committed to uplifting local organizations and supporting the Black businesses. This is why Carrie will be hosting a Black Business Spotlight show on Monday, August 26th from 6 until 7 p.m., and will spotlight 3 locally owned Black businesses and the stories of their success. Whatever your financial needs are, Associated Bank can help, and they're a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. You know that as the FDIC. Our phone number here, if you're so inclined to call or text, is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. A continuation from a conversation I tried to start in hour 2, the demographic profiles of those people who vote for the Democratic Party, so it'll make more sense about some of the issues that you see. You wonder why the Democrats, they just proud of that $35 insulin, ain't they? We capped insulin at $35 for Medicare patient. Medicare, Medicaid. There's a difference. Medicare, well, probably both. Well, Medicaid, you don't pay anything for, I don't think. You qualify for for different reasons. They capped it, and then I think they want to make insulin $35 for everybody who needs insulin. Why are they so happy with that? You know how many Black people have diabetes? If somebody asks the question, what's the percentage of African Americans that have type 2 diabetes? The answer is just yes. That's correct. So they're speaking to a specific need that we have, probably more than anybody else. Diabetes is actually high in the United States because we don't eat good. Barack Obama and the Affordable Care Act. So they prioritize health care politically, the Democrats do, because so many Democratic voters don't have it, don't have health insurance, don't have access to it, or it's unaffordable, or it's unobtainable, or we have still a negative connotation of going to the doctor because clearly the doctor wants to kill you. No, the doctor doesn't. The doctor wants you to stay alive, so you keep coming to see the doctor so the doctor can charge your insurance so the doctor makes more money. It is in the best interest of a doctor for you to not die, because when you're dead, you're not making money for anybody as a dead person. That's not helpful to someone's profits. All right, so LT said something in the text messages that I agree with, but there's a nuance that was missed. What did he say about chicken wings and Mexican food? LT says, Black brand loyalty is to our detriment. There are many better wing places than Elsa's. I agree. And then he says, better Mexican than Botana's. Again, I agree. He says, explore, do research, and expand your options. That's where it's not quite that easy. There might be a restaurant that has great whatever food that Black people like. But if we don't feel comfortable at that restaurant, in that neighborhood, at that place, we ain't going. Apparently, over the decades, and maybe it was the welcoming environment of Elsa's. Maybe Elsa's is a microcosm of the Democratic Party because they welcome all people. Well, not anymore. If we feel comfortable in a location, we'll go. In fact, if the food isn't that good, we'll still go if we feel comfortable, especially in a neighborhood or a place where we are not accustomed. Black people weren't really hanging out. Well, let me take that back. There's always been a draw for Black people downtown. They've ebbed and flowed over the years, but there's always been something. Because we're such consumers. Here's a little tip or a trick for you if you're a potential business owner. If you want to sell something to Black people, you can charge more. You can, especially if it's something that we appreciate, something that speaks to us, speaks to our culture. Like if you feature, here's an example. I don't know what the fascination is with cognac. Well, I guess I get it. So our tastes are influenced by advertising. So Jet Magazine, I think they still print Jet Magazine. Remember they used to have the Jet Beauty in the middle of like a centerfold of a black lady wearing not a lot of clothes. Hennessy used to advertise in Jet Magazine profusely, and they were early supporters of the NAACP. Hennessy, believe it or not. So a lot of advertising of that product was supporting black media publications going back to like the early 1900s. And because when we were reading magazines and publications for us and for our culture, we also saw Hennessy because they would advertise and they supported black media. So it became cultural for us, which is great. And things can be cultural for black people, but if I don't like the product, I can't buy it. I can't consume something that I don't actually like. I don't like Remy, Hennessy, Crevassier. It tastes like melted pennies. If you melted some pennies and added molasses and maple syrup, that's essentially what cognac is. It's not for me. It's not. I just don't like it. I'm no shade against those of you that drink that stuff. And it's expensive. And if you have a bar, here's another one. If there's bars and restaurants that don't serve cognac, don't serve Remy, Hennessy, and Crevassier, they don't want you there. They don't want you there. And bars know this. If they don't serve the cognacs, y'all gonna go somewhere else. Now, there's a whole bunch of places that will take your money, $15, $17, $20 a shot. Hell no. You out your mind. I don't like paying $10 for a drink. I don't like that because I remember a long time ago, when they'd have Dollar Night. Remember Legends, which was across the street from the Bradley Center? Y'all remember Dollar Night? They had to stop Dollar Night because y'all were getting too drunk. Listen to me now. Listen good. Legends, which was on, what is it? That was 4th Street at the time. It's Vel Phillips now. That was back when 4th Street went all the way through. Anything you could ask for was $1. Any drink. It was on Tuesday nights because Legends needed a reason to get people out on a Tuesday because for some reason y'all didn't want to go out on a Tuesday. Legends was like, we going to get them out. We going to get them to come out. And people were thinking, how are you going to get people to come out and drink on a Tuesday? Everyone has to work on Wednesday morning. Make everything $1. $1. Stupid idea. You could spend $9 and forget you even left the house. You would just $9 and you wouldn't even remember what happened. Let's talk to King. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, King. What's on your mind?
Hello. Hey, man. I just called to say y'all got to stop letting this man Al call with nonsense. I know you saying that y'all give energy to creativity, but that was not creativity at all. That was stupidity. I can say for a fact that God did not send him to say nothing like that. If that's what he's using to be okay with his sexuality, don't put Jesus in that because Jesus is nothing like him. He don't save nobody. He's never going to save nobody, especially with that. And he's preaching the wrong word. He's still talking about a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. That's been out the picture. Everybody know his real name, not even Jesus, is Yeshua. Everybody know this man had bronze skins and wool hair. I have bronze skin and wool hair. He got to stop coming on here because he make y'all look bad. He give y'all a bad name. He argue with y'all staff, all of that. I'm surprised y'all still haven't blocked him yet.
Who argues with the staff? Al?
Al, yes. He was arguing with Elizabeth because some things that she was saying about women, and that was ridiculous.
Let me be clear, King. Elizabeth is not staff, and I'm sure whatever she said, Al may have disagreed with, or a lot of people may disagree. That's the whole point of why we do what we do. People argue with us. Like, that's a part of our jobs. And if Liz said something that Al disagreed with, Al has the right, like anybody else, to call and disagree. But let's be clear, Elizabeth is not staff. She just is here a lot.
Okay, but that's like him arguing with you, though.
He does.
Because
Al and I have gotten into it. But if he says something that I disagree with, I'll say why I disagree. He says why he agrees, and we keep it moving.
I understand that, but the thing is, it's so ignorant to the point I doubt anybody even agree with this man anytime he's arguing with any one of y'all, because it's so ignorant. It's always ignorant. It's just as ignorant as what he just said about Jesus. It's always that ignorant.
But he told us about different alcoholic beverages that go well with a variety of meats. Like, that was factual. That was accurate information.
Yeah, little stuff like that nobody really cares about. But as far as you insulting a savior, somebody who still saved you, somebody who still loved you, and then you calling them God, like, we all know the history of this. So calling up here, he could be misleading people into the wrong areas right now and just having people destruct themselves because they trying to follow after something that he's saying, something that's not even facts at all.
And give people more credit than that. There's nobody listening to my show that's going to hear what Al says and then all of a sudden decide to change their life. But on that note, hold on, King. King, hang on a second now. Do you know how many other shows that peddle and misinformation that people do listen to faithfully and religiously that does get them to change their thinking? I think the folks that listen to this show, they take the opinions for what they're worth. Everybody's an individual. Everybody has a different set of lived experiences, and people speak on their lived experiences. If that's what Al wants to say, and this is what you want to say, I welcome you both to call this show. But for me to say, no, this person can't call because they say something that someone else may disagree with, if that's the case, I wouldn't take calls from none of y'all. But I got to go, King. I appreciate your call, though, and your sentiment has been duly noted. But we already had a trial for Al, and it was overwhelming because he was kicked off for a while. Y'all remember that? They put the hammer down on Al. Al couldn't call. He couldn't text, not nothing. And I said, hey, well, that's not fair. So let's have a trial. Let's let you all, the listeners of this program, decide if Al should be able to call. It was overwhelming. We had a trial. Al had a defense. Y'all remember that? Al had a defense attorney. Guess who his defense was? Miss Rose and then the guy named Andy, you know, the one that talks real funny. And they put together a solid defense for Al. And Al had a prosecution. Guess who was on Al's prosecution? Dion. Dion got trounced. He didn't put together a solid enough prosecution. We presented the case for 2 hours. In the third hour of the show, what did you guys do? You voted via text message, and it was overwhelming. Like 80% of the people that voted said, yes, Al should be able to call. So I'm going to take a break, come back, and talk to Linda on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the new 101.7 The Truth. Here is Telly Hughes with his truth.
I want to stress the importance of a positive mindset. Everything begins as a thought before it ever becomes an action. So it's extremely important to purposely place yourself in positive spaces to help shape and nurture those thoughts. I know you're probably thinking, okay, Telly, let's be realistic. Look, I get it. You may work with people with bad energy, or you may even be related to people who are negative by nature. In this journey called life, there will be many things that come your way that's out of your control. But what you can control is how you respond. Understand this. You have the right to either tap in or tap out of whatever energy that may come your way. And that's how you can control and protect your positive spaces. The mind is where it all starts. And if your thoughts are centered around positivity, you'll see how things begin to transform. You'll see a noticeable difference between things happening for you versus things always happening to you. You begin to grow through situations as opposed to just going through tough situations. Make it a priority to surround yourself with positive people and create those positive spaces and begin to experience the fruits of what a positive mindset can produce. Trust me, it takes work to creating these spaces, and you have to be intentional about it. And I'm committed to putting in the work because I'm living proof that it's well worth the peace a positive mindset brings.
This has been Truth Takes on the new 1017 The Truth. Listen to Truth Be Told with DT and Telly weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I feel so stuck.
The Veterans Crisis Line is here for you. Dial 988, then press 1 to call.
Seriously injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Election season is in full swing, and we need to have an insightful discussion on the political issues that matter to the black community. This is why we will be debuting the Truth on Politics, and that's going to be on Tuesday, August 27th. From 6 until 8 p.m. on 1017 The Truth. This monthly show will be a Truth Family Roundtable, which will engage in a thoughtful debate on local elections and policies, which will impact you all and break down everything you need to know about the upcoming presidential election. Do not miss the debut of the Truth on Politics on Tuesday, August 27th from 6 until 8 p.m. Let's see who we're going to have on that show. Dr. Ken, Sherwin Hughes, Telly Hughes, and Tori Lowe and Bailey Coleman on the award-winning 1017 The Truth Milwaukee Black Talk. I guarantee we're going to argue. How you go? Come on now. Me, Dr. Ken, Tori, Telly, and... Oh, listen, y'all need to understand, I'm gonna be who I am. But we don't agree. I don't know what Bailey's political stances are. You know Bailey. I was reading the paper and I said, Sherwin, I don't even know what's going on with. I tell you, I watched the debate, Sherwin, and I didn't know how Joe Biden gonna survive. Let's talk to Brian. You're on 1017 The Truth.
Yeah, I called because you told that guy anybody could call and you had a trial for everybody and all that. I'm like, when am I gonna have my trial?
Never.
Why?
Cause
what?
We don't need to have a trial. First of all, you get to call, and management didn't say you can't call. I just don't necessarily take your calls because I don't want to engage with someone who thinks the earth is flat, because go somewhere else for that. I mean, there's places where you can go and they'll hype you up when you say the earth is flat. This just isn't one of them. There's so many places you can go.
You're the only one that talk about that. You're the only one that dwell on that flat earth stuff. I don't ever call talking about flat earth. You bring it up because I mentioned it one time.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it a lot more than once, and it's something that I can't just let go of because it's just fundamentally so incredibly false that it makes me question your judgment and other things, which I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't question your judgment.
No,
but it literally is like the whole
people have a vast knowledge of
community in the world and you.
No, it's not.
Brian, have you ever heard of satellite radio?
Have you ever heard of Beard Debate?
That's a yes or no. Have you ever heard of satellite radio?
Yeah,
okay.
I use satellite.
All right. Well, okay, that debunks your myth. Satellites rotate the Earth. How do any airplane pilots get to any of their destinations successfully if their Earth is flat versus round? Their whole trajectory of travel would be different, Brian. So you mean to tell me that pilots are in on the conspiracy too? They just don't want the world to know the truth that the Earth is actually flat? You're not serious, are you?
Well, the Earth and mouthpieces.
That's all I can take. I'm sorry, guys. I can't. You hear him over there trying to fabricate something that sounded marginally believable. He said he listens to satellite radio. Satellites, So satellites, they don't orbit the Earth. They just fly around in like a square. That's what they do, and they kind of crisscross sometimes. Let's talk to someone who knows the Earth is round. Hello, Linda. How are you? Linda? Are you there, Linda? Linda, are you not there? All right, well, we had to hang up on Linda. Linda wasn't talking. So not that I'm going to be over here defending Al, because he can defend himself. Al is what we call, he's an iconoclast. He does iconoclastic things. He pokes at cherished beliefs and institutions because we need people to do that. If you have a belief and you believe it in your heart and your soul and you want every single part of it to just be understood by everybody, that's a belief that you deserve to have challenged. And it may make you think about that belief in other ways, because there's a lot of things that we have been told that have been fundamentally untrue. And we need people to make us think about those differently. And I know that we don't want to, because if we think about some of those things differently, it means that the people in our communities and in our developmental environments have lied to us, or they've been misled as well. And that hurts for us to find that out. Like Santa Claus. I used to think Santa Claus was very real. He was a fat white fella that came down the chimney. Probably why my parents moved to Brown Deer, so we could have a chimney. And his big fat white ass would slide down the chimney and give me gifts that clearly had a Toys R Us sticker on them. And then there were some kids at school that said, hey, Santa Claus ain't real. And I went and I confirmed with my parents. They said, they were correct. There's no Santa Claus. Those kids in my school in about second grade were iconoclasts. They challenged a belief that I had in something that was make-believe. Let's now try to talk to Linda. You're on 101.7 The Truth.
Good morning. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, good Common Brand. And good morning to all the good black and white people of Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Hey, Sherwin. Man, I'm not a drinker. First of all, I don't like drinking. I don't like liquor. I think it's poison, and I think it's horrible to the body. According to Neil deGrasse, there's nothing beneficial about liquor. And I have to share this story. When I turned 18, and my future husband and I, went to Summerfest, whatever, State Fair, and I wanted to see what it was like to feel drunk. And, man, I tell you, I never do that ever again. I wanted to die. I literally wanted to die. I could not believe I had no control over the faculties of my limbs and, and what blurted out of my mouth and, and then the sickness. Oh, my God, the headache.
What did you drink? You obviously drank too much.
It was a mixed drink from State Fair somewhere. It was a mixed drink, but I got drunk and I raised my sons with the conscious knowledge that my father said he was always a functioning alcoholic, and their grandfather on their other side was an alcoholic, died of cirrhosis. So I had all these horrible images of what alcohol do, and I told my sons, you have the disposition to become alcoholic if you should indulge in it. I raised them with that knowledge of knowing that it's it's hereditary when you get hooked into that stuff, and it's such a horrible way back when you are an alcoholic and trying to get back to your good senses and your good health. It's horrible, and I think that it's a dishonor for the government to legalize such a substance that causes so much. Really. So anyway, I I'm so proud of the black and white people of Milwaukee in Wisconsin, man. I went to so many events over the weekend, and I was late getting to the Truth Fest Family Fest, but it was just so encouraging to see black and white people working together for the benefit of the whole community. I'm trying to tell you, they will not win and what they are trying to do with Milwaukee, because the good black and white people in this city and in this state, is letting it be known, baby. I'm trying to tell you. I mean, doing a great things from Mother Daniels had an event over here in the 09 zip code, and they're going to build a dentistry office. They're going to build the mental health facility. They had events on East Center Street. They had events, and I stopped at all of them trying to get to the Truth Fest family, and I got there late. But it was I'm just so impressed as to the corners and the communities that are saying hell no to what the powers that be is trying to stereotype, or I don't know, classify or categorize Milwaukee to be, but it is not. We're progressive, intelligent people with money and good jobs and educated, and they're rising up, and I'm just so proud, Sherwin. I know I'm going on, but you just don't know. That was my high over the weekend, to see the progressive black and white people of Milwaukee doing positive things in every sector of the communities. It just encouraged my heart, I have to tell you.
That's wonderful, Linda, and thank you for sharing that bit of optimism with us. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
And bye-bye, Linda. You ever heard that saying, people speak truth to power? Oh, they speak truth to power. Have you guys heard that? We probably have a promo or two. Oh, they speak truth to power. Maybe we're doing it wrong. Maybe we should start lying to power. Maybe we should tell power lies to throw them off base. Maybe we should keep the truth for one another and lie to power. Just something to think about. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
What's up, Truth Nation? It's your girl, Noni Juice, and I want you to tune into my Making Your Money Work interview with Associated Bank this Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. I am so excited to be joined by Tamara Castle, AVP and CRA Mortgage Loan Officer at Associated Bank, and we will be having an insightful conversation on home ownership, and we'll break down the home buying process. So if you are a first-time home buyer or just in the market for buying a home, you will not want to miss this interview this Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. on Jammin' with Juice.
When you work in early childhood education, you know the value of a good head start. And an early childhood educator apprenticeship offers just that to future educators and employers alike. Early childhood educator apprenticeships combine on-the-job training with related instruction that can be completed in 2 years with little to no student debt. Apprentices earn an income and the qualifications to excel in a center, opening a future of possibilities. And employer benefits too, gaining a trained employee they know and trust with qualifications to support another classroom, meaning more classrooms for more kids and more opportunity for your business. Get connected with an apprenticeship training representative to create an apprenticeship program tailored to your business. Put the future in good hands. Learn more about early childhood educator apprenticeships at wisconsinapprenticeship.org. This project is being supported in whole or in part by a grant awarded to the Department of Workforce Development by the U.S. Department of Labor.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you passionate about helping your community? Join us. Milwaukee County Aging and Disability Services is hosting a hiring event on Wednesday, August 21st from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Zufari Conference Center. We're recruiting for supervisors, staff, and more. Come meet our team and learn how you can make a difference. On-the-spot applications and interviews available. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, August 21st, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Zufari Conference Center located at 9715 West Blue Mound Road. We can't wait to see you there.
Hey, Milwaukee, you've got too nice of a ride. Why put it through a gas station car wash when you could treat it to a nice Tsunami Express car wash? At Tsunami Express, expect nothing but the best with unlimited wash memberships and state-of-the-art car wash technology. Opening in Midtown on Fond du Lac Ave and Capitol Drive. Stop by and get a free car wash only at Tsunami Express in Midtown from August 21st through September 1st. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat. Learn more at TsunamiExpress.com.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
JD the Poet says, I heard him, as in Flat Earth Brian, on Jamming with Jews promoting the wins of the Trump administration. Dude, Trump is old news. Don't nobody want no 78-year-old president. It's just, it's not. Y'all need to stop. Seriously. You know what it is? Our people are ornery and stubborn because if they decided they were going to be a Trump supporter, even when presented with new and better alternatives and information, they still stick with their guns. Definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Supporting Donald Trump is going to do nothing for you because at the very least, he's a part of a political party that doesn't want our votes. They don't court us. We have to find something deep somewhere in the Republican Party or somewhere deep in our imagination to think that they are actually going to be of benefit for us because they don't have any policy for the black community because they have every opportunity, just like a Democrat, just like an independent, anybody else. Hey, we want to have a town hall meeting in the African American community. We want to hear from you. We want to know what the Republican Party should be doing better. And I think that would be a fantastic thing if they did that. If they could say, hey, you know what? We've been missing the boat when it comes to African American voters. Here, let us tell you, here's how we see how our policies as Republicans are better than the Democrats, an alternative to the Democrats, and even more beneficial to African Americans than the Democrats. I would attend that because I would love to hear what they're going to say. But here's the thing: they'll never do it. They'll never do it. It's almost like this motivation where there'll be a store or a restaurant that says no blacks allowed. They're putting the sign on the door. But for some reason, we're just determined to get in there. We just want to know what's going on. No blacks allowed. Well, I'm going to spend as much time as I can trying to get into that place because, boy, I'm curious. Curiosity killed the cat. Curly Q says getting drunk at a fest is a whole nother thing. That's expensive. Oh, talking about Linda when she turned 18 and got drunk. Remember Linda said when she turned 18, she got drunk? That's because the drinking age when Linda turned 18 was 18, meaning Linda turned 18 in the 70s. Meaning it was not expensive to get drunk in the 70s at a festival, Curly Q. Linda probably got into State Fair with a wooden nickel. Hi, I think I'm going to go down to the State Fair, see? Yeah, I'm going to see all the sights and all the cattle and all the things they have. Yeah, that's right. Step right up, step right up. That was back when the State Fair was just, hey, that's right. Step right up, see? See the bearded lady. That's right, that's right. See the House of Mirrors. Come into the haunted house here at the State Fair. That was back in the day when news came out. It was a little white boy wearing a sandwich board. Extra, extra, read all about it. Get your news here. That was when Linda was a girl. Everything was different. And come to the State Fair. Would you like to drink some sassafras? We have sassafras on special, 2 for a penny, you see. That was back when, remember wheat cents? Remember the penny? It had wheat. Remember the old school pennies? Got a pocket full of pennies. I'll have a good time at the matinee. I'll go to the Nickelodeon, see, and go see a picture show. What do you mean they have words in picture shows? You mean they're not silent anymore, you say? The caller, you better have something good to say.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
when I got cut off, I forgot I was listening to some music while I was doing my workout, and I was going on to say that you did a great job with Raphael Warnock, but now the variety of people from Mr. Warnock, Senator Warnock, to Brian the Flat Earther, just the diversity in the people who you talk to in one sitting is amazing to me. So shouts out to you on that. And I think the comment about airline pilots and him actually subscribing to satellite radio and stuttering, kind of shows you that actually Brian is a smart guy and chooses to do what you just said, chooses to be contrary to his own intellect. You can listen to the way he describes some of the ridiculous things that he talked about. What if he just used that positivity for what Linda was just talking about to, uplift his community instead of, talking about things that just truly don't matter. And then the last thing is Al going through another trial?
Nope.
Talking into that.
I'm not holding another trial for him. No, I'm not. Nope.
Or is he in some kind of trouble?
No, he ain't in trouble. But one person just called and got triggered by what Al said. That's what talk radio does. It triggers people that have beliefs that are so tightly held. If they hear something that goes contrary to their belief, they get all upset. But I got to go the call because my show is over.
Okay. Well, I'll ask that question another time.
Okay. Thank you for
drive safe, brother. Get you some exercise.
Thank you. What is it, you exercise people? Oh, Sherwin, it's 9 o'clock. Have you done 35 laps today? No, I'm at work talking to people like Al and that other guy. All right, that's enough for one day. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. See you next time.
Truth Nation is Telly Hughes from Truth Be Told with Denise Thomas and Telly Hughes, and I have to let you know that the best morning show in the country is streaming live on YouTube every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yes, DT and I are